Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support our show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast. This is episode number 365. My name is Colin Moriarty. I'm joined as always by my son, Chris Raygun. Chris, how are you today, my friend? Good to see you.
Good. I'm a little delirious because I feel like I was up irresponsibly late.
Yeah,
playing some video games that we'll talk about. Obviously,
delivering your parcels.
Yeah, man. Like a lot of delivering, and it's been good. You know, I don't know if it's necessarily good for my health,
right?
But that's fine. There are worse things to be doing for your health.
You go neepy time after we're done here. You can go a little neat.
Neepy time? What is
neepy time?
I don't think I've ever heard that phrase before in my life.
Well, hopefully you'll never hear it again. It's good for you to be here, and I'm glad you're well, and a little tired. That's okay. But yeah, but you're present. You're ready to go. Dustin Furman, executive producer, wearing his gay little Zelda shirt.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Hold on. Let me just gotta text that to the lawyer real quick.
Oh my God.
Put that on the record.
Yeah. Make sure HR.
Enjoy the company while you got it.
Yeah, thanks.
Just enjoy. Hello.
Good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I last night at about 2:15 a.m. laying down to go to sleep, and Holly goes, "Oh no, I have a dentist appointment at 9 tomorrow." And she needed to get some cavities filled or whatever. So I had to take her to that dentist appointment this morning.
So she just remembered.
She just remembered. I was like, if you would have remembered, I'm not mad, but I wouldn't have gone to bed at 2:15. Are
you not mad? You're a little mad. It's okay to be mad.
No, not mad. I would say agitated. It's the proper word. A little agitated, but that's okay. It's all good.
To the moon.
It's all worked out.
Another great timely reference.
I know.
Dustin he's so bad at hiding his seething rage. Poor little Dustin.
Are you well otherwise, Dustin?
Am I well otherwise? Yeah, just I only really have one thing going on in my life, and that is Death Stranding 2.
Right.
So getting ready to go this weekend, though, to Philadelphia, hang out with everybody.
You're kind of a little bummed, right? Because you can't play Death Stranding 2. You can bring your Portal.
Honestly, I think I may have spoken too highly of the Portal. I tried to use it the other day, and I'm like, this shit sucks.
You're out of your mind.
Just does not work very well.
You're out of your mind. It works great.
I don't know. Maybe I need a new router. My router works fine for literally everything else. So
you have good internet speeds.
I have great. Well, it doesn't even matter about the internet because it's all on my home Wi-Fi.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So
what do I know?
I don't know. Portal. I'm going to take it with me. I'm certainly going to try. But yeah, that's the entire reason. Maybe not the entire, but a driving factor that pushed me off the edge to get the early access is that I was thinking if it came out today, I have no time to play it today. I'm fucking stuck here with you guys. So
tell me about it.
I wouldn't have been able to play. I would have had to leave tomorrow, and I would just had all pent up in me. I'm about ready to bust at any second over the weekend for Kojima.
For Kojima-san.
Kojima-san, yes. So I did the early access, got the load out, and now I'm going to be wishing I was playing it when I was gone.
It's like something about Mary where he jerks off before he goes on the date. So he's not all. You ever see that movie before? It's like a famous scene. He gets the cum in his hair.
It's like cum in his hair.
Yeah, and he thinks, and then who's the woman in it? She's famous, beautiful blonde, Cameron Diaz. She comes and comes to the door. He opens it, and he has cum hanging off his hair, and she's like, "Oh, you have hair gel in your hair," and puts it in his hair and shit like that.
Oh no! I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's I saw that movie in 8th grade in the theater. My dad and I used to go to the movies and then split up, and I was so embarrassed after I saw that movie because I'm like, I really, really hope my dad doesn't see this movie at some point because he's going to know that it was not appropriate for me at all. Right. There's also that funny thing, her brother's mentally retarded in the movie. There's a bunch of funny shit, scenes with him in it. That's a great movie.
I've not seen this movie.
That's a great movie. Yeah.
You just reminded me, I think when I was in 3rd grade, I was at a birthday party for a friend, and they said, we're taking everybody to the movies. The movie that was out at the time was, I think, is it called Dickie Roberts Child Star? It's like David Spade movie.
Yeah, I remember that movie. I never saw it.
It's not a heinous movie, but probably not appropriate to take a group of like 10 3rd graders.
Yeah, it's like an Adam Sandler style movie.
Yeah. So that was fun. I just can't imagine spending to take 10 kids. This was like 2003 though, so it would have been as heinous to take 10 children to the theater.
Yeah, what movies did I see? I did see Home Alone 2 in the theater at for a person's birthday. That I remember. So that would have been 1991, something like that. 92.
That is so crazy that's a thing that parents used to do. Because I feel like from the people that I know who have kids, I don't think I've heard of that kind of party happening in a long time. Like just going to the movies with a bunch of people. They even had that room. I don't know if every theater had this room, but like
the party room.
Yeah, that party room
right
at the movie theater. I remember being like, oh man, I hope I have a party in there one day. And you go in there and it like sucks.
Yeah, it's like where you put tables and
it's just storage room. It's just an extra storage room. They were like, let's just put fucking stickers on the window and like pretend like this isn't an amenity.
Now kids have their parties on Roblox. Their birthday parties. Yeah. So
our family, I had one birthday party at a location, and it was at Aladdin's Castle at Clearview Mall in Butler, PA. Of course, Aladdin's Castle OG arcade. And it was like, it was the best party I ever had in my life. It's never going to be topped.
Yeah.
After that, it was like pizza and jumping on the trampoline at our house, which was still fun. I'm still thankful, but it wasn't Aladdin's Castle. That was legendary.
That's pretty
cookie cake with a guitar on it.
Arcades, man. Yeah, that's big time.
Although pizza and a trampoline though sounds like it's a risky mix. I feel like right?
Not when you're in 4th grade.
That's true. Yeah, I guess
you can do anything. Then you can eat anything and have no consequence.
Yeah, you're like a dog.
I'm still trying to recapture that. I still try to do that actually, but there's always consequences.
Right. Right. Yeah, I used to have. I only remember having one real birthday party in my life. Like, even as a little kid, I was afraid, like, what if I have a party and no one comes? That was like always my fear, But I think in 2nd or 3rd grade, I had a party, and I can't remember. It's crazy that I can't remember the specific name of it. People on Long Island will remember. It was either called Spaceplex or Solarplex. And it was like a huge arcade. It was awesome. And I did have a party there in 2nd or 3rd grade, like I said, and everyone came that I invited, and it was great, and I really enjoyed it. But that was the only time I ever put myself out there like that, I think. I don't think I ever... You know what? Actually, my 30th birthday, I went to Kentucky with a bunch of people. So that was the second time, and people did come to that, which was... we all knew who was coming and who wasn't, but it was cool that we did that, and we just got really drunk. Well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Colin, you should do another birthday party.
Yeah.
Like... what's the next milestone birthday?
50. That's
50.
10 years.
Well, we could do 45. We could celebrate your 45th now.
I don't want to celebrate it now.
Why not? I'm just thinking, we do this and let's go somewhere nice and have the company pay for it.
Yeah, I do think
I was trying to pull the fact you're considering this is great.
Well,
fantastic.
There are two things. First of all, for like the 10th anniversary of the company, I was thinking about doing something like that.
Oh shit! Let's meet in Vegas.
And the second thing is that more imminently and cheaply for me is that I have thought many times about just bringing everyone here. Mm-hmm. Not even staying with me. I'll put you up in a hotel and shit, but like just being like hanging out for a few days, and like convening. But it is a lot of money. To do all those kinds of things. But for the 10th anniversary, which is in 27, maybe we'll do something special. I don't know. By the way, I'm looking to see who sent me this because I forget because I get so many fucking messages from people. But someone sent me an Andy Pettitte signed baseball. This is my favorite baseball player of all time.
Oh, cool.
I don't know how. I guess it came up at some point. Andy Pettitte was a left-handed pitcher for the Yankees when I was a kid, and he was my favorite. I'm a lefty, so I just glommed onto him. He was awesome. And then someone messaged me and was like, I have an Andy Pettitte signed baseball. And I was like, he's like, do you want it? And I was like, yeah, I'll take it. Do you want to like do a trade? So like I was saying earlier with the Poofle, it's like, do you want to copy Herbroxia or whatever, like whatever it was. And he said something which I respected. It was something like, no, I don't want it to be transactional. So, okay. Yeah. So now I have an Andy Pettit signed baseball. Thank you for that.
That's very nice.
We also sent Micah some spices, which I appreciate for her barbecuing and her grilling and her smoking. Well, boys, this past weekend I had my friend Mike Patelli over. He's a listener of the show. I met him through G.I. Joe collecting like 5 or 6 years ago. And the first time I ever met him in person was at my wedding. This was only the second time. Oh, Micah, what was the guy's name that sent the baseball?
That's Mike.
Mike.
Conveniently.
Yeah, that's a different Mike.
Different Mike.
So we were hanging out. He was here Friday, Saturday, Sunday, left Monday. And really pleasant time just hanging out. But it precluded me from playing too many games, which is probably good. And it was so hot out. The pool is like a fucking bathtub, dude. It's almost like not fun to be in the pool at this point. It's so hot. It's so hot that like the low overnight is like 80. You know,
Jesus
like just sticking around. And but it's supposed to cool off a little bit. I have to mow the lawn after this, and it's just got to be done. Like it's just got to be done, and I'm gonna fucking be dead. But at least the sun will be a little lower in the sky by the time we're finished here.
That's the move. I mowed the lawn at 8 p.m. the other day.
Yeah, 8 would be ideal, but like I'm gonna probably have to get going at like more like 6:45, 7.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just I don't want to be too annoying to my neighbors either. Although they're annoying to me sometimes. They don't seem to care.
Yeah, fuck them.
What are we talking about? We're here for Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast. It's our show that goes live each and every week since the summer of 2018. We hope you appreciate it. We enjoy doing it. If you'd like to support our show, patreon.com/laststandmedia for early ad-free access to this show and all of our other shows. Perks include access to our Discord, get RSS links to put into your various podcast services, including Spotify, so you don't have to interact with Patreon. You'll just get the early ad-free podcasts where you listen to your podcasts already. You can submit your inquiries to the shows, and so on and so forth. Of course, another perk, Sacred Symbols Plus, each and every week. We finally, me, Brad, and Dustin sat down to record the second and final part of the Sony IP rankings. We started this in February and then just never did it again. So that's fun. We went like 2 hours, maybe even a little more than that. I don't know. I don't remember anymore. So that will go live the day after this goes live on Patreon. Hope you enjoy that. We have some other fun and exciting things happening soon, including something major that I think people will really enjoy in the coming weeks. Something different. You gonna say something, Dustin?
I don't know what you're talking about. That's what's interesting.
Really?
I don't think so. Maybe I do, but I can't think of it right now.
We were just talking about it 10 minutes ago.
Oh, that thing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You all right?
Okay. I guess I didn't think that was how it was formatted.
You okay?
I barely know anything.
Yeah. You're tired. How did the dentist go this morning, by the way? For
dentist?
Holly? Yeah. Didn't you say she had to go get her cavities filled?
Yeah. She got some cavities filled. She was all, filled Novocaine. She looked like she had a stroke.
Right.
Could control half of her face.
Yeah.
I played Switch 2 in the car. Dude, Switch 2 hits different at 31 than Switch 1 did in 2017. Like, I feel like a fucking dork with it now.
Mm-hmm.
When I was playing Switch 2 on the plane on the way home, I was like, I just feel like there's an established like millennial cringe. I mean, I'm wearing a Nintendo shirt, so I am that. Like I'm the millennial Nintendo cringe. So using the Switch in public, the shirt is like, okay, fine. Using the Switch out and about, I'm still going to do it. You can't stop me.
Yeah, do what you got to do. Who cares what anyone else thinks, really? Do what
you should care what other people think at least a little bit.
Do what feels good.
Well, ever so
we need
slightly.
A little shame in society.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it, I think.
Yeah, a lot of shame.
But the Switch, I actually felt that with the Switch 1 as well. Although honestly, I could never really visualize myself wanting to play video games if I'm not at home comfortable in like my own kind of setup. You know what I mean? Like thinking about playing like Switch on like unless it's like a long ass road trip or something, like something that's egregious, like you're crossing several states and you're going to be in the car for God knows how long. I don't really like the portability of the Switch is more about like playing it in bed or something. You know what I mean? Or like while I'm doing something else on the TV. It's never really been about like taking it somewhere. And I guess planes also count. But
I would love to be able to enjoy playing a game in bed, but I just can't.
Really?
My arms fall asleep, or it's like it feels like I'm like hurting my neck.
Dude, you gotta you just get a pillow.
Oh.
A pillow on your chest and just kind of rest it on top. I know exactly what you're talking about because it gets kind of like ridiculous, but with the pillow, it's like
they sell a specialized pillow for that. I've seen ads for it.
You don't need it.
It's a pillow that has like a grip thing on it.
Yeah, I've seen that thing. That thing bewilders. As somebody who plays in bed all the time, that thing is bewildering to me because it is hideous. It has one sole function, no other function at all. And what it does is achievable with just another pillow, of which I'm sure everybody has. Like maybe there's something to it that I maybe if I use it, I would change my mind entirely on it. Like maybe it's possible, but like I just use another fucking pillow. What are you doing?
I saw the ad for it and I thought, man, I'm sure that the wives of the husbands that have that
what is this product called?
I don't know. I can't remember. It's like a circular pillow base. And it's got an arm, and then you can grip handhelds to it.
Yeah, here it is. So I don't know if this is exactly it, but it's basically this. I'm gonna send it.
This is like anti-advertising
in the chat here.
Yeah. Okay.
The link is absurd.
Oh yeah, I think that's it.
Oh yeah, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Like, okay, if you're the type of guy that's buying one of these, no offense, but you're probably leaving it out. Like this thing's getting left on the couch. And then like the wife comes home from work, the husband's been playing fucking Steam Deck all day and she sees this and just like,
Yeah, you can put like your tablet and your phone on it and all the rest. He's got his cat with him in the video here. He's petting the cat. See, what I thought you were going to say was like, you can't do it in the bedroom because you got one thing on your mind and it's fucking.
Oh, yeah, no sleep.
And there's you can't focus on Stardew Valley. You can't focus on Death Stranding, Civilization, any of these things.
Right.
It's just getting off. That's what you care about when you get into bed.
Sometimes that's the case, certainly. Sometimes not. Now, one other interesting thing about this website that I have to point out, I think, Chris, you'll find this. Do you see how there's a video on the page?
Yeah. That's what I was just saying. I was watching it.
Go to 15 seconds.
Let me see here.
This dude, this is the most psychotic thing. He's playing Balatro on the Steam Deck. And also has a game of Balatro going on the iPhone right below it.
Yeah, that's
he's like,
that's Zoomer brain.
Was that a game of Balatro? No, he's watching a YouTube video. It looks like.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because like.
You're right. He is watching.
So he's watching Balatro like speed runs or like like tutorials.
Well, right. I think the idea is that you can put a YouTube guide on your phone while you play up above.
Look, I don't know. This is how much? Oh, actually, I don't know. For $60, that's not necessarily bad. I could see this being useful in like if you're like bedridden. You know what I mean? If you're like if you got the flu or whatever, and you kind of still want to multitask, but your body won't let you. Okay, fine. But like for the purposes of just like playing comfortably in bed, for the way that most people do it, a pillow is just fine.
Right.
But I don't know. Maybe I'll get this. Just maybe
you'll be a believer.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, check it out and report back to us.
Yeah, fuck it. I'll buy it right now.
Wow.
Fuck it. Whatever. I'll do a video about it.
That's wonderful. But what else? What else we have to talk about? Oh, all right. So Sacred Symbols Plus. Yes, that's going. We'll get to the betting results soon, I assume. Chris wasn't available this week. When we were available, we weren't available when Chris was available. We really do need all of us for it. So the results and the ramifications of those results are coming soon. Merch, laststandmedia.store. Hebroxia is on sale physically if you want to get it. It's already going out. People are starting to get it. They're really enjoying it. Appreciate your support out there. Thank you. We got this letter here. I think you guys will really appreciate this one. This is a funny one. That one guy, O2, wrote in, said, "Good afternoon, gents. I'm writing to you now with an unfortunate Sacred Symbols sighting gone wrong. I live in the Bay Area, so commuting to work can be a real pain. Rather than drive, I take the light rail, and it's always uneventful. No muss, no fuss. Imagine my surprise when last week, just a few seats away, I spotted a group of teenagers, and one of them was rocking a Symbols t-shirt. In the 6 years I've been a patron, I've never once seen a fellow listener out in the wild. Bolstered by the other write-ins I've heard of positive interactions, I decided to wait until my stop to address the young lad before stepping out. Sure enough, As I was getting up to leave, everything seemed perfect. It wasn't crowded. It wasn't rowdy. I was just going to tell him to stand down, wait for that look of acknowledgement, and disappear into the unknown. Well, things went wrong very fast. As I was walking by, I stopped and looked him in the eye and said, stand down. He stared at me dumbfounded as if I had just told him to shut the fuck up. His buddies were also confused, one of them even eyeing me up and down. I said, the shirt, Sacred Symbols, you're a fan, right? He looked down and said, oh, yeah, I like PlayStation, so my mom got it for me at Goodwill. And then he was silent, and then there was silence. I knew it was time to abort, so I quickly said, all right, take it easy, and went to leave. But for some reason, fate decided to extend this humiliation by having the door jammed shut, thus forcing me to run to the other end to safely get out. I'm pretty sure I heard the little jerks laughing as I went out. Is this my punishment for daring to step out of my comfort zone? Will he tell a story to his grandkids of this random dude who spoke nonsense and awkwardly tried to leave? I'll go crawl into the arms of my partner and pug and listen now. Thanks. Well, we've reached the point where our merch is now at Goodwill. Not a huge surprise.
The first of many.
Yeah. What I was most curious about was what shirt it was. Like, because you said it's a Sacred Symbol shirt, but I wonder if there are a couple of runs of Sacred Symbol shirts that people really want for some reason. And it's like the early ones where we did long before Last Stand Media, really, when it was just Colin's Last Stand. And I wonder if it was one of those, which would be interesting. Yeah. I must admit, when I moved to LA, I brought a bunch of my kind of funny stuff to Goodwill. And my ex at the time and I were like, I wonder if we're going to see like the various neighborhood bums and street kids wearing kind of funny merch, but I never saw it. So that was good. So am I offended by it? Not really. Is it funny? Yeah. Yes. Can you do whatever you want with the product you buy? Certainly. So it's not like you don't have like a life bond to me. It's not like Chewbacca and Han Solo, right? Like Han Solo saved Chewbacca's life, so he has a life debt to him. When you buy the shirt from me, you can give it away. You can put it somewhere else. But I love that. I love that they recognized it was PlayStation, but didn't know that it was something else. I do wonder if the kid went and looked up Sacred Symbols after this. Welcome to the show. Yeah. He's listening right now.
Could be. Yeah. So as far as the shirt being given to Goodwill, I mean, there's a couple options here. It could be someone, this is Bay Area, so maybe someone didn't like something said politically. Maybe they got too fat for it. Mm-hmm. Maybe they got too skinny for it. Mm. It's hard to say. Now, the other thing I want to address here is the greeting of stand down. This is something that has happened outside of us. Like we've never been like, oh, the stand down greeting. In fact, the whole stand down meme in itself was something that just kind of happened outside of us. And that's how these happen naturally. I've had many listeners when I'm at, an event or Summer Game Fest, they'll hit me with a stand down. And I almost feel like maybe one of these teenagers, because I don't know. I'm like, it's more their thing than my thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of it.
You're a little slow on the uptake with it.
I'm like, oh. I don't know how to respond sometimes when someone gives me a stand down. Do I tell them to stand down back? Is that what they expect of me?
It is comically aggressive as a way to introduce yourself to a new person potentially who may or may not know what the fuck you're talking about. Yeah. That is I do like the idea of people getting like into potentially like life-threatening altercations over that. It's like a fun. I think like we had a somewhat similar story where somebody wrote into our show, Star Trek, with me, Kingston, and Derek, and somebody was like, "I was listening to your show, and Chris. There's a point where Chris screams die in Marcus Phoenix's voice, and some guy thought I was screaming at him." And so I almost got this guy like beat the fuck up in like a Burger King parking lot or something.
That's like the Curb Your Enthusiasm Amco episode.
Right. I think for me, the more interesting thing was like, imagine hearing die really loudly, and then assuming immediately that must be for me.
Yeah, that's weird. I would assume it wasn't.
That was the comical aspect of it to me, where it's just like, what is this guy's life that he just expects? Like that couldn't be anything else.
That's funny. We do have another inquiry. This is a tough one. Queefer Sutherland wrote in and said, "Hey, CDC, would you rather see someone rocking your merch in a viral Colorado Ped Patrol sting, or featured front and center in an ISIS recruitment video?" I think the ISIS is what I'd rather prefer. I'm going to be honest.
It'd be more interesting,
right?
Because the thing is, like, look, not to defend ISIS or nothing, but like at least they're passionate about something. You know, like the Pet Patrol thing.
Hey, they're passionate too.
Well, it's not the same. Like I don't know. There's like I don't even know what to call it. There's like a respectable dedication to a faith that I can at least appreciate with an ISIS recruit. Like it's corrupted and fucked up, but like compared to like, I think in a battle of morality, I don't know exactly what would win between ISIS guy and pedophile, but I would have to imagine somehow that ISIS comes out on top still.
Yeah, it's possible.
You know what
like,
I mean?
The thing I was thinking about is like a lot of these fundamentalist Islam, like Islamic terrorists, they have child brides and they believe in all these kinds of things. So they are some of them, the Colorado Pet Patrol person, but they don't put that up front. They put their hatred of America and their love of the Prophet Muhammad up front, right? And all those kinds of things, as opposed to like you see the Colorado Pet Patrol sting, and this guy could be like an engineer or a doctor, but all we know about him is that he was texting with who he thought was a 12-year-old. And he's there he's at Walmart to meet the person. So
with a Happy Meal.
But the thing too is that like the thing too is that those people are in a society where everybody understands that that's like a bad thing. And so they're ignoring that. Right. You know what I mean? Whereas like ISIS, like, I don't know, they're brainwashed. You could potentially, I would imagine, at least even if it's a slim percentage of a possibility, be educated out of there. You know what I mean? In some way, even if it's like a slim chance. You've been brainwashed in some sense. You're not brainwashed into being caught by the Colorado Pet Patrol. Yeah,
that's right.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, still watching Colorado Pet Patrol is when I can, you know, when it comes up. That guy has over 500 encounters now. It's like crazy.
Because insane.
One of these guys are going to die.
I think some of them have already.
They have?
Yeah. Well, I mean, one guy definitely got shot and killed during it. But it was one of the more aggro, like, what is that other streaming service like the YouTube? Oh, Rumble. Like the guys that go on Rumble and like really fuck these dudes up. Which I don't necessarily agree with, by the way. Like vigilante justice it's like I'm not going to weep for these people, but I don't know that it's like the best course of action either. But I'm not going to step in and stop it. So it's like
it's exactly how I feel about it. Where I'm like, this is probably not a good thing for society, but also like, whatever. You know, boys will be boys. in that I mean,
sense. You have it coming in some way if you're doing those kinds of things.
Yeah, I can't feel bad. But
and for how bad it was for them with those guys, it's gonna be even worse for them in prison. So
that is true. I don't know. Lasttimemedia.store, promo code ISIS.
Promo code ISIS.
Get some merch.
But we're talking about the Egyptian god,
right?
When we have the code ISIS, we're not talking about the terrorist organization.
I have an aunt whose name is ISIS. So like,
I was going to say there are people named ISIS. That's unfortunate, but
it is unfortunate.
It's actually a pretty name. And ISIS, their ISIS is not a name; it's an acronym. So that's like the worst part, you know?
Yeah, because they're not even really called that.
Right.
That sucks. That's so sad.
And then you would have, but Obama was really the one that would call them ISIL, which is like another way to call them, which is like the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant or whatever.
Sure. I think I heard that for a little bit.
Yeah, but it didn't catch on.
Yeah, that was like
he probably knew someone named ISIS and he was trying to like flip the script a little bit and be like, we can't call it, you know?
Right. That's just being a nice guy. Just trying to like, I'll do what I can. I'll do what I can.
Yeah,
I'll do what I can for you, ISIS.
All right, let's get into a few inquiries here from the audience, stretch our legs, then we'll get into the news. There's lots of things to talk about this week. Then we'll get into what we're playing. We're all playing Death Stranding, although different versions of it. And then we'll get into 6 inquiries at the end and we'll wrap it up. Should be a fairly normal episode, but we'll be the judge of that. Let's start with Slipwater, who wrote in and said, "Hey guys, I have a situation. I deliver medication for a living. One day last week, the pharmacist called to ask if I wanted an ice cream as they were going to get some. I said, no thanks. Fine, no problem. When I returned later that day, the pharmacist told me they had accidentally bought 6 ice creams instead of 5, and the extra one was in the freezer if I wanted it, so I took it. The next day, the staff member who had bought the ice cream put his bank details into our WhatsApp group chat and was asking for the equivalent of $5 each. So my question is, am I expected to pay for the ice cream even though I explicitly said I didn't want one? Sure, I took the leftover, but only as a result of being told it was a surplus to the intended order. To be clear, it's not about the money. It's $5, so whatever. But in principle, I think I am exempt based on my initial response. Am I totally wrong? This is interesting. I don't know that there's an obvious answer to this one. Believe it or not. $5. So do you say where you live? Did I read over it? You said the equivalent of $5. So it's not $5. Or maybe you guys are like dealing in like Bitcoin. It's 0.000000001 Bitcoin for the ice cream. Here's the thing about this one. They called you and asked you if you wanted an ice cream. Was the implication that like everyone was going in on it? But then how did they end up with too many if that was the case? Did someone renege on their deal? I think it's a little cheap to ask, but in my opinion, I think you just pay it. If it's nothing to you, then you just pay it and stay on the up and up with these people. Why create a problem? With the pharmacist, you're like delivering their medicine. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of the mind that you don't. And then if they come to you, if they say something, you'd be like, oh, well, I thought it was an extra one. I thought the whole thing was that I didn't have to. But like, all right, fine. And then do it if you have to, I guess. It is $5, like, so whatever. But like, I don't know if I don't like the idea here. I don't like the idea that you're offered something that you didn't ask for. And then you're offered what is presented as, it's almost presented as if you're doing them a favor by getting rid of it. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, this is an extra one. Just take it. And now you got to pay it. Like, I don't know. That rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah. I can get that.
But don't press the issue. It doesn't have to be like you don't got to get into an argument about it. I would say just don't do it. And if they press you about it, then we're like, oh, okay. Yeah, whatever. But that seems insane, personally.
Also, here's another thing, Chris. He says, quote, the next day, the staff member who had bought the ice cream put his bank details into our WhatsApp group chat and was asking for the equivalent of $5 each. Is this a group chat that is established between all of you already? And if so, maybe you're just there. In other words, it's not really aimed at you.
That's true, yeah. Sometimes group chats function that way. Not everybody is relevant to the current conversation.
Right. I ignore all of the group chat stuff personally as much as I can.
Yeah.
This just sounds like a lack of communication because we have the pharmacist, we have the person that paid, right? And so the pharmacist said, hey, what he should have said was, hey, there's an extra. If you changed your mind, there's one for you. If not, so-and-so who bought it will take it home or something. Right. Like he or she is the one that bought it, the extra on accident. So they would be able to just keep it, save it for later or something. So are these like pints of Ben and Jerry's for $5? I mean, then $5 per ice cream sounds like I was thinking like a box of ice cream sandwiches or something.
Yeah, right. It does seem like a lot. I was surprised when the ice cream guy goes around this neighborhood and then I see the prices on the side of the truck. Like I noticed that there's a credit card thing where it's like $7 minimum or something for credit cards. And I'm like, dude, I don't even think when I was a kid, you could spend $7 on an ice cream truck like on multiple items. And now these things are, that's the way it goes now. But I don't know, Slipwater. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would just pay it personally.
Me too. I mean, just because I get Chris, I'm very personally aggrieved by many things. So I totally get Chris's perspective, but just to keep the peace. And then if this happens again, are you fine? Then you kind of did the right thing. And then you can be like, listen, but like, why would you even find yourself in this situation? I think you just pay the $5 and just be done with it. And then you don't have to look like a dickhead. And maybe you got taken advantage of, but that's not your karmic debt.
True. Yeah. $5 is also just like a very whatever kind of.
Well, that's why I was wondering, like, because you said and he says it's not a lot, but he says the equivalent of $5. Like, I don't want to trivialize it, but it's not a lot of money. You'll be okay.
Yeah.
JP wrote in, I'm curious about this one. He says, hey guys, it was the 69th episode for Punching Up, and a gooner of the LSM audience wrote in about 69ing a Nintendo character. Dustin chimed in, unsolicited, mind you, that he would 69 Zelda, Samus, and the Wii Fitness Trainer. Dustin, can we get 15 to 20 minutes on this topic? I'll hang brain and listen.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I want to keep them on their toes.
Right.
I got to remind Brad, that this was my show. I got to keep my presence known.
Right.
So you were on the show to say this, or
No.
you appeared in like the comments?
So Brad in our staff Discord mentioned that there were 3 or 4 write-ins of people asking this question. So be prepared. So I thought, I'll just let them know what I think. It was unsolicited. That's true. Sue me. So I feel like even when I listened, because I was editing the episode, I was the only one that really came in enthusiastically with options and choices. Gene is just like, oh, Princess Peach because the dick sucking lips. And it's like,
Right.
that's so obvious, bro. Come on. Like, and just that one choice. Be creative. Gene was talking some shit on that Punching Up episode. So talking about his Expedition 69 spoiler cast being the best one, the one they did at the end of Punching Up. I don't know. Maybe we got to take him down a peg too.
We could. I thought I saw. I'm trying to find. I think he said something too about how he doesn't like our fixation on numbers on our show.
Oh, I saw people. I didn't hear him say that, but I saw people talking about it.
The answer is Shy Guy, by the way, because he's got that mouth that's like. So it's perfect.
It is a shy guy, though.
Crazy. All just because of the shape of his mouth and like.
He's like,
we don't know what's in there.
That's true.
And if you want to get really sloppy, a piranha plant.
Piranha plant. You're getting a mouthful of dirt.
Yeah, it's fine. It's more about what I'm getting.
A botanist.
Yeah, it's what I'm getting from him. That the real answer. So We Fitness Trainer. She's a real woman. I mean, she's not real, but she's a woman. It's not like a New Donk City character. So that's acceptable. Right. Samus. Yeah, I mean,
Zero Suit Samus, dude.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, and then Peach. I don't feel like you should be doing that to Peach. It's like there are others. Peach is royalty. She doesn't need to be sitting on your face. She'd be sitting on a throne. You should be going to, I don't know. Rosalina's always been my favorite character of the.
Oh yeah,
she's
got the hot girl emo vibe.
Yeah, it's totally. I love how much she sings from that era of Galaxy and whatever. That.
Yeah.
Perfect. Love that. But no, I'm going to stick with Shy Guy. I think it looks like he can probably get it done. Yeah, he's made for it.
Yeah, Colin, I'm glad you chimed in here, unsolicited as well.
Yeah,
with enthusiasm.
I don't know. Shy Guy's so small. I don't know. This is never mind. Shy Guy's so small that I don't know if we're going to be 69ing as much as I'm just going to be fucking his face.
You're already shrimped.
Yeah,
you have to break your spine.
Yeah, I'm going to be like, I'm going to have to like really.
Yeah.
Horrifying image. Oh my god, you're curled over like a shrimp.
It's going to be bad. It's going to be really bad for the Shy Guy.
Is why I think it's fitting for you.
Yeah. You're going to be extra shy after this.
Yeah, he's
extremely shy.
Extremely shy guy.
This is profoundly Shy Guy. He is a victim.
He is. Well, it's all consensual. I assume it's all consensual.
Yeah, until he realizes what he's really in for, and then he can't vocalize.
Good times.
Poor guy.
Good
Chris,
times.
I'm getting a sense that you would prefer to not answer.
I think my answer would be your answers exactly. The thing, I don't know enough about Nintendo characters to know if there's any like deep cuts that I'm missing.
Daisy?
But those are the what? Daisy?
Daisy?
No.
Daisy, she strikes me as Peach's like slutty cousin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who's the oh my god, the singer in Odyssey?
Oh, Paulina.
Yeah, maybe that's
the Paulina.
It's the only other one that I can think of. Really, I feel like most Nintendo characters I envision are amorphous or like very strange.
Pauline, not Paulina.
Right, Pauline.
That was
that's kind of cool.
How about Ash's mom?
It's been a lot of places.
Yeah.
She's been a lot of places.
Yeah, I know.
Whether
It's
Professor Oak or Mr. Mime.
Mr. Mime, right?
Mr. Mime.
And Ash's dad, whatever happened to him.
Right. He left.
So-
Yeah, what the hell?
Mom was a slut, and he's like, I can't do this anymore.
The implication of that is actually really interesting. If you think of it, it's like Ash is completely fatherless. And so he's
Unless
just like, I'm gonna go capture monsters.
some people theorize that Ash is a Pokemon because he is Mr. Mime's son.
Right.
That's actually fucking disgusting.
And Ash's mom was impregnated by a Pokemon,
Right.
so he's like a hybrid.
Wasn't there? Isn't there lore to substantiate this? Because wasn't there? What was that thing where like a bunch of creepy lore got unveiled?
Yeah, like
Was that
a bunch of
Pokemon
stuff
or no?
leaked. A bunch of stuff leaked, I think, from Game
Oh.
Freak. Like their
Was that
some of their
Pokemon,
Bible.
or am I getting the?
No, that was
franchise?
Pokemon. Like some of their stuff, like some stuff they just wrote for fun, I guess.
Right. But it was like Cyndaquil, I think,
Oh,
or
it's
something.
I think it was Typhlosion.
Typhlosion, yeah.
He's like a rapist or something. I'm dead serious.
No, you're right. You're right. Yeah. I'm just laughing because I just remembered how absurd that whole thing is.
Oh no, he's a rapist and he's a pedophile.
Oh, no.
The only thing worse than a rapist is a pedophile rapist.
Yeah. It's a step above. That's like a major leagues.
Well,
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Stay safe out there.
This show's going to hell in a handbasket fast.
Zelda Samus Wii Fitness Trainer. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
At least he didn't say the female ice climber. Nana.
That's the name?
Is it Popo and Nana or something like that? That's their names, I think.
Bro, I have no idea. Like, a friend of mine pulled out like the name of the vacuum cleaner from Teletubbies recently, like off the rip, and I was like, "How the fuck do you remember that?"
I didn't even know there was a
It's
back.
Nunu, by the way.
Nunu.
Which is
Teletubbies
like-
was after my time. So
Yeah, well, I would have. Yeah,
it was like
I would
the
hope so.
it was the 90s, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was like
I was
think
fascinated
so.
by it because I was like, what the fuck? Truly, like,
Well,
what
actually-
is this?
Well, actually, I don't know. Is it 90s? Because, hold on, wait.
dude, I like the vacuum cleaner in Teletubbies.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking about?
yeah, Nunu.
That's what he was saying.
That's his
Oh,
name.
that's his name.
Teletubbies.
He'd probably
Huh.
be a good 69 candidate, honestly.
The vacuum. Oh yeah, he's
Yeah.
sucking.
Suck something out of you, Jesus. Suck your fucking
The first
intestines
episode
out
of
of your dick.
Teletubbies was aired on 1997.
Yeah.
That's crazy, by the way.
Yeah, so I was like 97. I was like in 8th grade. So yeah, I was too old for Teletubbies. But then again, as I've said before, I was way too old for Arthur. And you better believe I watched that shit compulsively for years. And
Arthur
I
has
realized why. I've realized totally why. It's because I wanted to be in a family like that. Not a family of aardvarks, but like a nuclear family of people that loved each other in this nice town and everyone was nice to each other. I'm like, I'd like that.
Yeah, it's optimistic, which is nice. I like Arthur, actually.
Yeah, I do too. It's just sad that is probably it is the reason that I was like so into it. I was like, this is very comforting. It's not what I experienced.
Right.
So I was watching things that I was too old for. No doubt about it. JP, stay safe out there. Use protection. Matthew Buchanan wrote in and said, hey, CDC, I couldn't help but notice that Colin's decision to power wash his driveway and poolside in real life coincided with the recent trailer for Power Wash Simulator 2. Was this an active decision to hone your skills before the big release? Are you hoping to be a mainstay atop the leaderboards? Give the rest of us a chance. I'll gaze into the sunset, enjoy the wonders of life, and listen. Don't gaze too much because it's bad for your eyes. I bought a power washer. Like I said, did I say this last week? I think I did. And I started using it. It's very satisfying. You got to kind of learn how to use it. It's easy, but like there's all these different heads and you got to be really consistent and all of the rest. So my driveway is concrete and it's made of like concrete, like little sections, so that they don't crack, they cut them. And so I'm doing it like section by section. And there's, I guess, 8 sections and I've done 5 of them. And it's crazy how much just shit is on my driveway over the last 5 years or whatever, to the point where I was like washing it down the driveway as I went, and then it would all dry. And then it's just like caked up dirt and you have to like sweep it away or blow it away. It was very satisfying. And I got to say, not unlike the game. I don't know that many games translate like this, but just even making the lines and like very carefully doing it, it's the same. It's very fun. but God, is it hot out. So that's the reason that I haven't done more of it. I would love to be out there power washing all day, but it's just, it's too fucking hot. So, but I'll get back to it. Was it a coincidence? It was a coincidence, but I did see that Power Wash Simulator 2 did get a new trailer, and they did say that the game's coming out this year. And I shit you not, it is my most anticipated game of the year. Easy. Like, not even close to anything else.
That's so funny.
It's so good. And so I tweeted at them, and they tweeted back at me, which I thought was fun.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And yeah, shout out to Power Wash Simulator. What a great game. So I'll be in it. I'll be in it. I'm getting better. I'm getting good at it. Yeah.
It's a great little game. And you're right. It does translate more than you would think to like doing it in real life. I think if there was ever like a normal, quote unquote, normal job that I would ever actually genuinely enjoy doing, it's probably that, actually.
Right.
Like there is like an intense satisfaction in power washing something.
I could see that as well. I've also thought that. Like, I've thought that about dental hygienists as well. Like, there seems to be something very fun about just cleaning something. Probably gets a little gnarly depending on who you're dealing with. But I could see that, like, in another world being like, yeah, I could see myself doing that. Yeah. Scaling a person's teeth. Talking to them, they can't talk back to you. You can just say whatever you want. No one just shuts the fuck up. I went to my dentist is great. I love my dentist, and the people there are really nice. I went last week, actually, just like Holly. I had to also go to the dentist. This was just for a checkup, but they told me something concerning. And it's funny because I was talking shit going in too, where I'm like, I always go to the dentist, get a clean bill of health, and come back out. And then they were like, actually, I have silver fillings from when I was young, like a kid, like a teenager, and they don't do those anymore. I guess they slowly expand. And so like my tooth, like one of my molars has like a crack developing, and they're like, it could be like a hairline kind of thing. Like, it doesn't really matter. It could be, we have to just monitor this, and maybe you'll need a crown at some point over it. And I was like distressed because I don't think I've even had a cavity in like 20 years. You know, back when I was like a kid and a teenager and I'd brush my teeth once a day or whatever, I would have cavities, and I'm still, though fillings I have are from those. But by the time I was like a teenager and I started like really brushing my teeth twice a day, and now I'm like totally crazy about it. Everything was just, so I thought I was in good shape, but God, that was distressing. I was like, and I was not really upset, but I was like, damn, that sucks. Like, and she's like, oh, you're in great shape. Like, you have all of your teeth still, and it's not a root canal or anything like that. And I'm like, all right, I appreciate it, but fuck, you know, I'm gonna have to deal with this in the coming years. I thought I was in the clear. That's
crazy. Yeah, the fillings. I haven't had a filling in a really long time. I haven't had a cavity in a long time either, which is shocking, quite frankly. But they expand the silver fillings.
I guess that's what we're saying is like silver fillings like pop at some point out, and like they'll like and they just don't use them anymore. Because I remember when I was a kid, I always wanted the white filling, right? So no one would see it, and they were like, no, you don't want this. Like, the white filling sucks. Like, you need the metal or the amalgam filling. And now 25 years later or whatever it is, like, that's what they do. Like, the science is better. And now they're like, no, we don't. It's just so funny. And this is science, I guess, but just how with authority they say things. And then they're like, oh, never mind.
Yeah. There's also the possibility that back then that specific strategy did suck and things have changed or something.
Well, yeah, I think their whole thing was like the white fillings are just the least effective filling. But I guess now they fixed it or whatever. Or it's better now.
Yeah, presumably. Yeah, because I have the black ones. And it always bothered me. It always bothered me because I was like, it just looks like I don't take care of my teeth. You know, like, it's infuriating.
Right.
But
when I was a kid, I definitely could have done better, I think. Yeah, I wish I was more aware of it. Like, there are kids that are disgusting out there. I brush my teeth when I wake up and all that kind of stuff. But I don't remember my parents ever really being like, oh, you had like a sugary drink or whatever, go brush your teeth or whatever. It was just like, brush your teeth in the morning and maybe brush your teeth at night later on. And it was me kind of becoming more self-aware of like, you got to floss, you got to like rinse, you got to do all these things. And now I brush my teeth 3 times a day. And again, that's why I was bummed about that. Because I was like, damn, I don't care about, by the way, guys, the other thing I forgot to tell you. I went to the urologist. Now, did you see the picture I tweeted?
I did see that.
Yeah.
The picture you tweeted from the urologist.
Yeah, from the urologist's office. But go to all right. So here's what's happening. And I think I've gone into some of this in the past just to give everyone a little bit of an update on my urethra. No, I'm kidding. I pee like constantly, but not constantly. I pee more than the average person, and it comes out when I drink beer or something, and I'm really drinking and like really drinking stuff where I have to pee constantly. This is something that's been true my whole life, and it's something that I learned when I was in college, especially, and people would make fun of me for it or whatever. So I was never worried about it. I knew intuitively, it's like, well, it could be a small bladder, your prostate. There could be something wrong with your prostate, but this was just always the case, and I was young, and no one seemed to really be worried about it. Fast forward 20, 25 years, and I'm here, and Mike is like, you really should get that checked out. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I'm not worried about it because it has always been true, but that's the deception, because something can go wrong. And then it would be like, well, this has always been the kind of the ramifications of it. And it's like, yeah, but something actually is now wrong. So I was like, yeah, I should go, you gotta get prostate health is really important for men. And I've had my prostate checked before actually, and it's horrifying, but you do it. Right. And so I scheduled an appointment with the urologist to just kind of go and get the information that I need and for him to check me out. I walk into they're very friendly people. So it's nothing about the people. Very nice people, nice doctor, nice nurses, whatever. But I found it so funny and so ominous that they're like, all right, come in here, you get weighed, and then they give you a cup and they have you pee in the cup, and then they test the pee while the doctor's doing his thing, and then they give you the results or whatever. And then I walk into the doctor's room. I look to they're like, all right, the doctor will be in a minute. I look to my left. There is a table, like a counter. The first thing I see are 2 tubes of lube and 4 or 5 boxes of gloves for different size hands. I'm like, that's pretty ominous. I sit down for a few minutes. Doctor comes in, very nice man, older man. Within 30 seconds of this guy coming in, his fingers in my asshole. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I appreciated the casualness of it. He was probably in his 60s, maybe even his 70s. So I was imagining like, this guy's been doing this for a long time, because he was just like, all right, blah, blah, blah. All right, take your pants off. Checks my dick out, my balls, like all this kind of stuff, which is good, because I always feel like I'm afraid I have testicular cancer as well, even though like you can feel it or whatever. So I'm clear on that. Then he's like, all right, turn around and just bend over. There's like windows and they're open. So you just see outside, but they probably can't see in, and it's like just wooded and whatever. And I just hang on to the counter and he just pops his finger right in my ass. And I got to be honest with you. The first time I had it done, I remember it being way worse than it is now. Like it didn't take very long. It was like 2 seconds. I remember the first guy kind of like really reaching around in there.
He was enjoying it.
Yeah, maybe he was. And then he was like, I just got to feel your prostate, make sure everything's good. So basically he's like, you're fine. They even did an ultrasound on me, like put the jelly on my belly, and or like I'm like obviously lower than my belly, but then we're just, because they can see, I guess, how much liquid is retained after you go to the bathroom in your bladder. And he's like, no, you're fine. I guess you just have to pee a lot. But he was like, if you want to be more empty, they gave me this medicine. I haven't gone and picked it up yet, that apparently will make me like pee better or whatever. I don't really know exactly how that's going to work. But then he told me this is disgusting. Well, it's not disgusting. It's just the name of it is disgusting, I guess. He was like, there are some side effects. And he was naming some things. He's like, you don't have to worry about that. He's like, here's one that you might want to think about, though. He's like, it's called reverse ejaculation. And when he said that, I was like, oh, no.
What the fuck?
And basically, it just means that, like, when you ejaculate, nothing comes out. But I'm like,
shooting blanks.
Yeah. And I'm like, why is it called reverse ejaculation? I thought, like, I didn't know what that meant. So I was like, all right, well, I want to see if it works or not. But anyway, so yeah, I had I say this because it's funny, but I also say this in seriousness, because a few people did. So I tweeted that picture out of the counter because I thought it was funny. And a few people were like, oh man, I know I got to go, but I'm afraid and all that. You got to do it. Like it's over like that. And it's a clean bill of health kind of thing. And you don't have to worry about a very predictable and easy. It's like women with breast cancer. You know, if they stay on top of it, most of the time you can capture it. Right. And like you feel, you get, you feel your breasts and you go and get your different mammograms and all that kind of stuff. If you stay on top of it, you can deal with it. It's the same thing with prostates with men. And if you have problems with your prostate, as we saw with Joe Biden, it can get into your bones and like get all. So I appreciated Micah because she was like, I really appreciate that you like did that. And you kind of just like put on a stoic face and weren't really worried about it. And I'm like, I understand that like, this is what needs to be done. If I don't want. There are people out there that don't know like their own health and things of this nature. It's unfortunate that's the way it needs to be done, but you guys are a little young. But by the time you turn 40, I would suggest, and I think they say like go check out every 5 years, a little butt play for you.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever had that experience. Never had anyone up there.
Yeah, that's
before.
Not
now
ideal for me. To each his own.
You said that guy was casual. I mean, I'm sure he's been in thousands of men.
That's what I'm saying. Like this guy knows what he's doing. It's just so funny that you need people to do this stuff, right? But it's so funny to me that a doctor goes to med school and then they're like, what are you going to be? And it's like, I'm going to be a urologist. And I'm like, someone's got to be a urologist. That's good. But what I was telling Micah was like, it would be better if women were urologists, more women were urologists, because I feel like their more delicate fingers wouldn't be quite as crazy as a 6'2" man walking in with his large glove, putting his pointer finger in my ass.
Yeah,
just something for thought, food for thought. And the other thing I was wondering is like, how do they learn how to do this? And then what's it like when they do it on a person for the first time? I was just thinking about all this different stuff. It's so personal. It's so personal.
I wonder if they use those. I wonder if they actually use those. Those silicone sex toys to practice, because they're technically like modeled, apparently correctly. I don't know.
They probably do. I was thinking they probably do that. I was thinking also they probably use cadavers.
Oh, that's kind of scary. I don't like that image at all.
You're going to dedicate your body to science only to find... Weren't we laughing about that thing where the guy dedicated his life to science, but then they found out that like they blew him up with a missile or something like that? Like that's like what his... You remember this you were talking about? It was like they like blew him up or something, and the woman was like really mad that was like what they did with her husband's body.
That sounds awesome.
We talked about it on the show before. So like, yeah, imagine like you give your body up to science and like you're going to the proctologists.
That's honestly, whatever.
Yeah, do what you gotta do.
I feel like if you blew my body up, that would be fucking one of the coolest.
Dude, I gotta find
that
that
would
story.
I would be stoked about that specifically. Like it definitely it beats, or like I don't know, maybe like your skeleton is hanging up in like a high school science class or whatever. I would prefer being blown up. I think.
I found it.
That was the article?
Yeah, it's from 2019. Man learns mom's body donated for research was instead blown up by military testing. An Arizona man is upset having learned his mother's body was sold to the military for blast testing, and he's one of many families who gave the bodies of loved ones to the Biological Resource Center with the understanding their bodies would be used for scientific purposes. She was supposedly... this is a quote, she was supposedly strapped in a chair on some sort of apparatus and a detonation took place underneath her to basically kind of get an idea of what the human body goes through when a vehicle is hit by an IED. Every time I dream about my mom, I told you she was a quiet person. This person in my dream was angry.
What a crazy little piece of seasoning to that sentence. What? Wait, she came to him angry in a dream? Is this part of the story?
That's what it said. That was like a quote of his from the story. Yeah.
That is crazy. Absolutely blow me up. If I dedicate my body to science, like do whatever you want. That's the whole point, is that they do whatever you want, and then you don't have to think about it.
We definitely talked about that story at that time, because I definitely would have found that hysterical.
Wait, hold on. There's a part of, I'm really curious about this aspect of the story.
Yeah.
How do they know? Like, who told?
Yeah, them? I don't, let me see.
How do you even, you know what I mean? Like, how would you even, like, one of the guys at the bases was like, oh, I know, that's Jerry's mom.
It was a Reuters investigation called The Body Trade. And it says, for a decade, Arizona-based Biological Resource Center persuaded dying Americans to donate their bodies to science. More than 5,000 did. Here's what happened to thousands of them. And then it's like a whole expose about it. And I guess she was one of those people.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. It really isn't funny, but it is funny at the same time. I think just cremate me.
It's kind of funny.
All right. Let's get into the news now. We have not a correction, but a clarification. Only one of you, I thought about this immediately after we did the episode last week, and then only one of you wrote into it, so I guess it wasn't a very common thought, but I wanted to get this out there. Alex Afonso wrote in and said, hello, lovely dudes. I just want to nitpick on the amounts mentioned by Colin about the revenue and profit by generation. I think it could be very misleading if we don't account for inflation, even more so in the history of 20 plus years of PlayStation. 30 years now. 30 plus years. Besides this, I need to admit my ingenuity on entering the elevator in my building while listening to sacred symbols on the speaker of my phone. Right when the elevator door opened, there was a detailed explanation about penis size in an American Southern accent. Mind you, I live in Portugal and penis is a universal word. I should have known better, of course. And then he says, obrigado. Is that Portuguese? Could be. I don't know. I probably just said like some sort of curse, some sort of spell. Cast some sort of spell.
Obrigado. I've never heard of that in my life.
So
I'm not gonna look it up.
Yeah, this is a good point. I should have adjusted things for inflation to make the story even better, but you can just make comparable. You can just compare between, because neither gross nor net revenue were adjusted, so it's all comparable to each other. So it's not that big of a deal, but I agree with you, and I wanted to throw that out there that I thought about that after we recorded. So great minds think alike, Alex. Be well over in Portugal and take good care of yourself. Now let's get into the news. I wanted to start with this because this news has been going around a little bit, but I heard directly from friend of the show, Tom from Moore's Law is Dead, and his podcast Broken Silicon, which I'm going to be on in the coming weeks to talk about PlayStation. And he had messaged me that he had a developer on his show, Broken Silicon. It's episode 315 specifically. And he talks about this liquid metal problem that I guess is happening with PlayStation 5. And over at WCCF Tech, they write PlayStation 5 liquid metal issues could cause many consoles to die in a couple of years as more users are reporting problems over time. And they write, quote, speaking on the latest episode of the Moore's Law is Dead Broken Silicon podcast, Alderaan Games founder Matthew Castles highlighted how the system's critical flaws causing the liquid metal used for cooling to drip down to the bottom of the console when placed vertically, causing dry spots on the APU that compromise its functionality and forces a shutdown under certain conditions, and it's getting more widespread. A while back, the developer received reports that the latest update of their game, the dinosaur-themed MMO Path of Titans, was causing PlayStation 5 consoles to power off suddenly. Initially, the developer provided the usual basic troubleshooting advice like cleaning the console, but the issue persisted. After pinning the related discussion thread on the developer's Discord server, more people showed up reporting the problem, and after Alderaan Games pinned a more general message asking players to report if their PlayStation 5 systems were suddenly shutting down while playing any game, a lot more users showed up with their reports. Some members of the team also experienced similar issues and are now investigating what could be the cause. Everything seems to point to the liquid metal issue, which is more likely to manifest when the console is placed vertically. After talking with Sony about the issue, Alderaan Games discovered that the more intensive the game gets, the higher the chances are of a PlayStation 5 shutting down due to the liquid metal issues. With this latest update, The Path of Titans, the percentage of players affected by the issue rose to 2%, from 2% to 3%, which may not sound like a lot, but it's still a lot of units. However, better pinpointing what it caused is affecting systems to shut down is difficult, according to the Alderaan Games founder, as it seems to depend on the combination of where the dry spot is and what component of the APU is stressed the most. As there's no way to track CPU and GPU temperature via software, troubleshooting is extremely difficult, and any fix of the developer's part, such as limiting frame rates to avoid putting any of the system's components under stress, could end up impacting those fully working systems for no reason. So here's the interesting thing. And the quote continues, thankfully, not all PlayStation 5 systems are affected the same way by this design flaw. Sony attempted to fix it in the Slim release and the PS5 Pro by adding ridges to the APU and heatsink to prevent the liquid metal from dripping to the bottom of the console, but it's too early to say if this actually fixed the issues. Older models are more at risk, and with most of them now being out of warranty, repairing them could be a costly endeavor. Talking with Sony about the issue, Matthew Castles suggested setting up a free repair program for systems affected by the issue, but this may not be feasible considering how many systems are affected. And they compare it to the Red Ring of Death issue, which, of course, remember, Microsoft used to send out what we would call coffins. You would put your Xbox in it and then send it back to them, and they would fix it, probably even send you another unit sometimes. So, Dustin, I asked you both in Discord to kind of look into this. You guys are much more technical than me. The reason I wanted to lead with this, even though people have been talking about this a little bit, is that, first of all, I like Moore's Law is Dead, and I like Tom. And they might be on to something interesting here. At the very least, I think it's worth a PSA for people with older PlayStations to be aware of this. Have you read into it? Are you familiar with this problem, Dustin? And what do you think?
Yeah, I've heard about this happening a few months back, but it didn't seem like it was becoming a widespread thing. My read on the situation is that I'm curious how widespread it is currently, because as this developer said, 3% is pretty significant. I think the big question is, we're kind of at that point now where it's been almost 5 years.
Yeah, it's like 4.5 years.
4.5 years. And so I think we're going to find out how bad of an issue this becomes over the next year or two. If there is a thing that these consoles, especially these launch models, do start failing because the liquid metal is simply dripping out. So the other thing too is, I wonder if this has anything to do with some listeners, if you've been with us since launch of PS5 or early on. Friend of the show, used to work here, Ben Smith, his PS5 specifically had an issue with Returnal. Yeah. I wonder if it was liquid metal related, if it was heating up a certain component, because that was kind of early on. So maybe it was stressing something that other games didn't. And even recently, this was just over the weekend, Hogue in our staff Discord was asking Gene if Death Stranding 2 caused his console to hard shut off, because it was for him. So we have seen evidence of these kind of weird shutoffs even within our own circle here. So I haven't had this experience at all. Both of my launch PS5 and my PS5 Pro have been vertical pretty much the entire time. So the only thing about, I don't know whether it was in Tom's video or in this article comparing it to the Red Ring of Death, I wouldn't call it that yet. It doesn't seem like we're having, because that was like, dude, that was a failure rate.
It's like over 50%.
That was, an insanely high failure rate. So it's like, if it's likely that it will happen to you, where it stands right now, where it's, let's say at worst, 1 to 3%. I mean, that's not good that 1 out of 100 or potentially 3 PlayStation 5 owners are going to be sitting on a console that's fucked and out of warranty. That's definitely not good. But it's not Red Ring of Death level. But yeah, hopefully Sony, if this is identifiable, like, if my question is, these people that are having this problem are unfortunately not, I don't want to open up a PS5 and I'm somewhat proficient in that shit. Is this something that you can see, like, yeah, very clearly we keep opening up these consoles that are failing and we see the drip of the liquid metal, is it at the point where they can truly identify it? Either way, Sony hopefully will take care of these people. Will they? Depends on how much of an outrage and how widespread it is.
This is totally ignorant. I mean, I have no idea what I'm talking about here, but is the liquid metal on this component on the surface of it?
Yes.
Okay, so is there a way for Sony to fix this by sending people things to do it themselves? Or would that be kind of suicidal, I guess, on their part? Like, to be like, you can open your console, here are a list of instructions, you coat the thing with this substance. I mean, I assume that would be kind of crazy, but it would just be way cheaper than having to facilitate the shipping of all these consoles.
I think that would probably be way too complicated for most people. Even for me, I've watched videos of people opening PS5s, and to my understanding, maybe I'm wrong about this, you have to be very careful with liquid metal, because let's say you do open it up. You have to make sure you open it up and it's facing the right, so it's laying flat, because liquid metal, it can be conductive because it's metal. So if you get it on other components on your PS5, then that's definitely going to fuck it up. Just because then it messes with the circuitry and stuff like that. So asking consumers to do that, I think, would be way, way, way too much.
Yeah. I just was curious, like, if it would be, I'm trying to figure out Sony's strategy should they want to take care of this. I imagine what the strategy would be, it's hard to know why the console is even breaking, because you might want to just extend the warranty with a period of grace for people that are having this particular problem. But how would you necessarily know? You don't until you open it up. Right. This is interesting. Chris, have you had any problems with your PS5s? Mine have been totally stable. I have actually not had any. I haven't had any true issues with a PlayStation console since PS3. So
yeah, I mean, I think with my base PS5, I've nothing like any of the issues that I've seen that result from like I've had some games crash or whatever, but like it's never really been like I've never had like a hard reset or like a hard like, you know, a hard shut off as far as I can remember. And definitely not with the Pro at the very least. But I will say, I mean, both of my PS5s are vertical. You know, and I've had them vertical the entire time. And to be fair, it's not because I would like them to be. It's because when I put them flat in my what is it,
Entertainment
TV
center
cabinet or whatever, it would overheat fucking immediately. And then it would just be like, it's too hot, we're shutting down. And it's just like, all right, well, I guess it's vertical and outside of the cabinet. So it is unfortunate that it seems that the way in which I guess it's unfortunate that the way that I could set my machines up in the way to best facilitate this not happening is kind of not possible. And I wonder for how many other people I wonder how many other people have that situation where like, well, I've tried to put it in the entertainment cabinet and it just overheats. And so I'm going to have it vertical, but that exacerbates the issue. I mean, that's just bad. That's bad. That's not great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've not had any crazy. Although to be fair, I haven't really touched my base PS5 in a while. It's like a YouTube Netflix machine in my room now. But this is kind of crazy. I wonder how this will continue to manifest, or like how, like what will be the game, like what games will trigger it going forward? Because surely this is something that's like, it's not growing precipitously necessarily, but it's growing. And so you have to imagine that consoles over time will fail anyway at a certain degree. And so if this is already happening to this degree now, where enough people are recognizing it, how many more years before this becomes a bigger deal? And then I'm also curious about whether Sony will even find it necessary to do anything, because they could always just kind of look at it as like, well, Xbox had a 50 something ridiculous percent, you know. We could probably ignore this and people will just buy another machine. Like, and I'm not saying that that's what they should do, by the way. I'm saying I wonder if that's ultimately what the conclusion.
Yeah, I am curious. That's the thing, is that I think that they probably would be willing to make it right if there was a way to identify that this was the issue without having to take your machine apart. Dustin put a picture in our chat of the actual problem, and you can see the leakage.
So the picture I sent is probably an extreme example where it's actually leaked outside of its set spot. But from what it sounds like, this could even just be that parts of the liquid metal it's not fully covering the CPU area. So there's like a dry spot. And so that particular spot is not being cooled. And that's what's causing this to only happen in certain games if it's stressing a certain component in that spot.
Yeah.
Where it's dry.
Yeah, very interesting. And that spot would potentially be different for everybody.
Right.
Yeah, this is interesting. And as you said, Chris, it's ironic because I know Tom says in his podcast with the game dev that Sony, I think, recommends that you keep the PS5 vertical because it cools better. And that makes sense, because if it's just a surface area problem, then you want it on the smallest surface standing, right. And it would expose more of the console to the air, which makes perfect sense to me. And as I understand too, I think that they put like a new heat sink and like fix this in the Pros specifically. And that's what I've been using. But it's funny because though they recommend that and it's better for cooling, it's, as you noted, that this exacerbates the problem. I have always kept my PS4s and PS5s flat. I never had any of them standing up. This was just by nature of the only console I ever had that felt like it was supposed to stand up, even if you didn't stand it up like that, but really felt like you should stand up, was the PS3 fat, because it was like so heavy that it just stood on its own. The PS2 you needed to have the special thing for it, and obviously the PS3 Slim sat down horizontally. And the PS3 Slim Revision sat down horizontally, and then with PS4, I would just lay it down flat. But I know a lot of people like to keep it vertical, so it's a shame. But I guess personally, I shouldn't be affected by these issues because I keep mine flat. So,
right.
RIP in peace to anyone that's having this problem, and we'll see what's happening. I don't know that it's that big of a deal, but it could become a big deal. I mean, if you have a 3% failure rate of a console that is sold almost 80 million units, that's almost a million. Well, actually, 3% would be more than a million units. So it's like that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye on it. But consider this a PSA more than a news item. Maybe lay down your PlayStations like a fucking adult.
If you can. Do you have yours on like the top of like a? Do you have your TV like mounted or something?
Yeah, it's mounted, and then we have like a little thing underneath it, like a table, and it's just on top of the table.
Oh, okay. So it's open.
So it's not encapsulated in anything. Because I know exactly what you mean. If you have it in one of these little pockets in your entertainment center, it gets super hot. I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Next piece of news is about Hellblade 2, which we know already was announced for PlayStation 5, but now we have a release date for it. Of course, Hellblade 2 is the sequel to Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice from 2017, which was a PS4 timed exclusive at the time from, at the time, independent developer Ninja Theory. Since then, Ninja Theory was purchased by Xbox Game Studios, and so the sequel was in development for a long time. It came to Xbox and PC in the spring of 2024, and now it's finally here. They write on Xbox Wire, quote, "We're happy to announce that Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 Enhanced will arrive on August 12th as a free update for Xbox Series X and S, Xbox on PC and Steam. A PlayStation 5 version will be released on the same day. Players can purchase the standard edition for $49.99, which includes the award-winning Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, complete with new features to enhance your gameplay experience. We are also offering a deluxe edition at $69.99, which, as well as the base game, includes Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice optimized for PlayStation 5. This is an important point because though the original Hellblade was updated for Xbox next-gen consoles, it never got a PS5 update. So this will be the first time it will be natively playable on PS5, though you can play Hellblade right now on PS4 via PS5 if you'd like. The big deal here is that there'll be a performance mode, which wasn't available in the game originally. It says, quote, Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2 is a cinematic experience of immersion where we push real-time visuals to deliver rich, believable environments and characters to sink you deep into Senua's story. Now with performance mode, we're excited to give you the option to experience gameplay at 60 frames. The result is smoother gameplay, especially noticeable during combat and fast-moving moments of the game. And there are a few other updates as well. There's going to be an enhanced photo mode, which is especially nice in a game as pretty as this. There'll be developers' commentary and more. So August 12th, Hellblade 2 arrives on PlayStation 5. I have, to be perfectly honest with you, no interest in this game whatsoever. Chris, are you going to play it?
No.
I guess you had your chance. I guess you had your chance on both of you really on Game Pass. If you wanted to.
I did. I played, I think like about 3 hours or something, which apparently I'm told is like 50% of the way through. But I just so deeply did not care that I couldn't do it. It's not my kind of game at all. I mean, it's cool. One thing I do appreciate here is that developer commentary. I love that shit.
Yeah, it's cool.
I think it was Left 4 Dead that had the developer commentary on it, and I just remember being like obsessed with that stuff. Like I love that stuff. So that's a cool little thing for sure. That I wish more games did, but I can't say I'm even remotely interested in revisiting this.
Dustin, Hellblade 2, yay or nay?
Hellblade 2, I did play this on Xbox Game Pass via PC. I am looking because I'm trying to remember. I completed the game. It says my playtime is 2.5 hours. So
wow.
Not very long. The first game I thought was pretty good. I liked it. This one, didn't really like it. It's visually, it is amazing. It is, if you are a graphics nerd and you want to see some of the most amazing graphics ever made, then check it out because you will definitely be feasting in that department. But outside of that, I did not really enjoy this game. I think is it going to be $50?
Yeah, so it's $50, and then if you get the special edition, it'll be $70, and you'll get this original version on PS5.
Yeah. So my recommendation is, even if you are into graphics, $50, that's a hard pass. Maybe pick it up on sale. Because like I said, it's not that it's just about game length. Of course, we talk about all the time quantity, quality. These are different things, but it's 2.5 hours long. It's just, and it's not really that fun of a game. And I found the experience of it, because it is a very experiential game. I think I got what I wanted out of that from the first game, and it was a more concise, interesting experience than this one. So I would say wait till later if you're interested, because it's not worth $50.
Yeah, this game came and went like a fart in the wind. It really did.
Yeah.
People were hyping this game up for years, and it's like, I remember saying it. Ninja Theory. I just don't really. I never really have understood that investment by Microsoft. But we'll see how this does on PlayStation if people are interested in it. It was the PlayStation audience that made Hellblade popular to begin with because it did so well back in 2017. So I wonder if there is a loop to be closed with some players there that just didn't get an opportunity to play it. We'll see. We'll mark that on and check that out in August. But yeah, I certainly have zero interest. I didn't play the original either. All right, I thought this was an interesting piece of news. This is circulating on the Intergalactic subreddit. They don't link out to whose. I guess I could have really looked if I wanted to research it more closely, but they don't link out, probably reasonably so, to whose CV this is on LinkedIn. But they find former Naughty Dog designer lists working on RPG progression systems for Intergalactic, and the screenshot of this particular part of the CV says associate technical designer at Naughty Dog from August 2022 to February 2024 in Santa Monica, of course. And it says here, RPG progression systems on Intergalactic, the Heretic Project, Prophet, accessibility, metagame, gameplay systems, level scripting on The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, metagame, player comms on The Last of Us Online. So this guy did something that came out, something that will never come out, and something that is yet to come out. The RPG progression systems on Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet are what everyone's tuning in on. I'm curious what you guys make of this. Dustin, I guess I figured this would be a much more systemically deep game. It sounds like they're doing something different. This is unprecedented in their games, basically. So I'm curious what you make of the possibility of RPG style progression in Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, whenever we get it on PlayStation 5, probably 2027, I would assume.
Yeah. So I think Neil has said in different interviews, maybe even to you, that this was going to be very different for them and going to be unlike things they've made before. RPG progression system, and this is something a lot of the Reddit comments of this post are pointing out, that it can mean a lot of things. And someone even mentions, because I thought of this, is that could you argue that Last of Us Part 2 and maybe 1, I'm trying to remember, has light RPG mechanics with its, is it the pill?
Oh, like crafting. Yeah, you take like supplements. Yeah.
Right. So I would assume this is going to be expanded significantly for this game, that it will actually be the ability to upgrade your character and suit it towards your play style. And yeah, it's not surprising. Neil also mentioned that, Elden Ring was a big inspiration at one point for him. So I'm not saying it's going to be Elden Ring, but to see it include more RPG mechanics is a win. I hope it is in a way that's satisfying and doesn't feel shoehorned in. Like we've talked about how the God of War RPG mechanics sometimes just feel annoying and not unnecessary. I know a lot of people love that, so that's going to be a taste preference thing. But if they're going to do it, like actually do it and make this have a lot of different RPG elements to it. And I think that would be cool. I'd love to see them do it.
Yeah, I do agree that it's interesting to, or it's prudent to read something like this and be like, well, this can mean many different things. However, I wouldn't describe The Last of Us as RPG mechanics. That's like a very basic crafting system and progression system. What I imagine this will have, which maybe the Jack games had at some point, but I don't really recall, and I don't think so, is well, they definitely didn't have what I'm about to describe, which is like, I would imagine you're going to level up in this game. I imagine you're getting experience points. I imagine you're going to be dumping things into skill trees. I imagine you're going to have different weapons to equip. And you have that to a degree. You have your pistols and your 38 and your hunting rifle and all that in The Last of Us. But I just think it's going to be deeper. So I think that is interesting. And I'm fascinated to see what this game really is. Chris, what are your thoughts on the potential of an RPG progression system in Intergalactic?
I mean, I think it's cool. I think it's a good. I think it's probably a good direction for them to go in, especially given that this game looks like it's a little bit less. I mean, Uncharted is very grounded. Last of Us is very grounded. I could see RPG mechanics kind of feeling a little bit off, maybe in those types of experiences. But like a sci-fi kind of adventure game, even if it is like tonally grounded, I think could make use of that stuff a little bit better or a little bit more organically. I hope that they handle it with because Dustin mentioned the God of War stuff, and it does kind of feel weird in God of War, even though it really should feel at home because it's like a fantasy kind of like, fantasy in quotes kind of setting. But I hope that they're able to handle it in a way that doesn't feel like, I personally feel like whenever I play, there's a lot of RPGs that I'll play and it'll be like, oh, congratulations, your accuracy went up 2%. And that kind of just doesn't mean anything to me. Like, I hope they're able to like have a meaningful system here that actually feels a little bit more seamless, in the same way that I kind of felt like, although this is more like philosophical, when I played through something like Uncharted or The Last of Us, I do kind of feel my stats getting better naturally as I'm mastering the game. And if they can get that feeling through to a proper RPG system or a proper RPG progression system without having the standard, like, 2% damage buff here, that could be interesting. Although if it is that, I guess whatever. I just kind of, I don't know. There's a lot of skill trees out there in video games and a lot of RPG light mechanics that just kind of rub me the wrong way or just kind of feel kind of stapled on or grafted onto something that doesn't really need it. And like you said, they've never really done this before, so we'll see.
I'm eager for them to do something different and marry their attention to detail and their story chops and everything to a more mechanically deep game system. I think would be really fascinating. And I think they can do it, but obviously we know so little about the game right now. I think we're going to need to see more of gameplay to even understand what it is. Because I think there's a lot of conjecture that this could be a straight up Soulsborne game, which I think would be really stupid. But they could, like, so in other words, something very difficult and hardcore. I think they should just go into a more action oriented Devil May Cry, Ninja Gaiden style game. If they're going to do anything like that, I'd rather have more style than difficulty. But as we all know, and as was already said, it's like, Neil Druckmann and a lot of those guys over there are huge From fans, and they have latitude, so they might want to investigate something like that. I just think you're going to alienate a lot of your fans if you make the game too difficult. So I doubt it's going to be that, but we'll see. All right. So Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, we're eager for any news. I don't know that we'll get anything for the rest of the year officially, but we'll keep an eye out for similar CV updates and so on as we go further throughout 2025. Over at Push Square, they write, forgotten Sony game Midnight Murder Club confirms full PS5 release for August. And a new trailer for the game that went on PlayStation's YouTube channel that I didn't even notice, that only has 39,000 views after 4 days. They post and confirm that the game will come out fully on August 14th, 2025. And it's from Velen Studios, as we know. This game has completely bombed. In fact, over on Push Square, they have a screenshot of the Steam chart, not totally indicative of the game. It is a PlayStation game. It's probably doing better on PS5, but an all-time peak 3 months ago of 178 players, with 9 people playing at the time of the screenshot being taken, and 44 with a 24-hour peak. This game is $20. You can obviously invite up to 5 additional friends to play. It's a nice idea. I'm surprised more people aren't into it, actually. I don't think this is like the hit that they're looking for or anything, but it's a really cool and novel idea, and it really just seemed to have died on the vine. I really don't know if they just didn't let enough people know about it, or I really don't get it. I don't know. Dustin, you played it. What are your thoughts here on a full release? I guess they're just going to go forward with it, but if I were it just sucks because I think they're updating the game and stuff too. And if you're at Velen, you're like, you're doing this for nobody, basically. And I don't think the game has any chance of hitting when it finally comes out. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's unfortunate because this game is really fun. I bought the early access so me and some friends could play. So we literally were probably 1% or more of the player base with on that day of 178 people, which I'm assuming was launch day for the early access, of course. So it's unfortunate because this game is very fun. And so I recommend, if you're into these fun party multiplayer type games, you should absolutely check it out. I want to check out, I haven't played it since its early access because the early access was pretty light on the types of game modes and stuff like that. So it seems like when they release, there will be a co-op PvE mode that sounds pretty cool. So on August 14th, I'm definitely going to hop back in, but it's fun. It's really cool. It's the other thing too, that this game, if one person buys a copy, you can invite 5 people to play it together. So my recommendation, I said this when it came out to early access, is that you're probably not going to have very much fun playing this game with randos. Like, it's just not built. I mean, it's built to do, you can do that, but the most fun we had was when we had a full squad of 6 people that all knew each other, and we were having a fucking hilarious, awesome time where, it's the whole thing where you're in the dark, your flashlight, we're just like screaming at each other, being ridiculous, stuff like that. So play it with friends, give it a shot. But I agree with you. It doesn't seem like it's long for this world.
Yeah, I was just clicking around because I was like, who even owns this IP? And in the United States, no one does. It's not even trademarked.
Trademark it now.
It's so weird. I could. As I understand, I think that Ho can fill me in on the intricacies of this, but I'm pretty sure that if something's not trademarked but is already inserted it into commerce, there's nothing that can stop you from trademarking it and using it in your own commerce. The people that have already been there can't be removed from commerce or whatever, but you can split ownership of the name, as it were. Because people squat on shit all the time. This is what happened to when the Washington Redskins changed their name to the Washington Commanders. That name sucks, partially because people literally squatted on every single name that anyone had ever thought of over the past 60 or 70 years that could replace it. And that's like what they were left with, which is hysterical that people did that. But because if I was them, I think Red Tails was the one that they really wanted to go with, the Washington Red Tails. And then Red Tails, I think, were the black fighter pilots in World War II, like whatever the squadron was. And if someone had that trademark, and I would have been like, I'll give you $1 million for it. Like, we're the NFL team. This is what we want to brand our team for the next 100 years. I think it's worth the investment. But instead, they're like, no, we'll go with the Commanders. Fucking name sucks. All right. I'm surprised that no one cares about this game even internally to even protect it. Really weird. I wonder, God, could you not trademark something with murder in it? Speaking of the Redskins, it's very simple. So there is a law, and this is where the Redskins ran into trouble, is that a racial term, like that could be considered an epithet or whatever, cannot be trademarked. So anyone can make Redskins merch that they wanted. That was a major part. Like, you couldn't use the logos, but you could just make Redskins merch and sell it with no repercussions.
Oh, wow.
And I wonder if it's like something to do with the word murder.
Maybe.
But that would be weird because you could
I feel like I know. I can't pull any examples right now, but I feel like I must have heard something with the name murder in it that's been trademarked. You know what I mean? Like, surely there's like a horror movie or something.
Yeah, certainly. I agree. I'm just trying to spitball about what could it be. But
that would be interesting though, because I can't think of anything.
What about
Off the dome?
The name? Okay, so the water company, Liquid Death. They have a trademark.
Yeah, I'm just looking up. There were trademarks for like murder. There's a trade, like, these are all dead. Part of the pun. These are all dead trademarks now. There's like a murder t-shirt company, murder fragrance, murder entertainment services, murder university, murder burger, murder Inc. There's a shit ton of murder Incs.
Murder Inc. I think I've heard before.
Murder marshmallow. So no, that's not true. Yeah, I'm just a little tidbit. By the way, people were upset at me this last week because I figured out just by searching around that Sony still owns Death Stranding everywhere except for Japan. I don't know why people were mad at me for noticing that.
There was that one tweet where someone that girl that was real mad.
Yeah, she's Jaffe's friend, I think.
Yeah, it was like she was followed by like Jaffe, Jeff Keighley, and one other. I was like, what?
Jeff Keighley.
I think it was Jeff Keighley. I was like,
I saw Cliffy followed her. Because I follow Cliff Blazinski.
Wait, who's this person?
There's just some chick. I don't even know who she is, to be honest. But just some chick that was just going off on me in the comments. But because basically what happened was I was like, oh, when did Sony transfer the trademark? Oh, because we reported on it last year. You might recall that Kojima announced that they had acquired the Death Stranding IP. This was in probably October or November of 24. So in preparation for the show, I was just getting notes together and I'm like, when did Sony like send that over? And then I was like, they didn't. There's like nothing to it. Sony still owns it. And I'm like, that's weird because I own a bunch of trademarks. So I know that even when you send in, like you send in correspondence, there's like a change log and it acknowledges like when you receive something, when they're looking at something, when they make a verdict. It's like a shit ton of things. And there's just no activity on it since 2022. And I was like, that's really weird. And then I started going to all of the international ones. So I went to like Australia, EU, UK, and then I know in Brazil, Indonesia, and other places. And Sony owns Death Stranding in all of these places. The only place that they transferred ownership, it was in Japan, which I thought was really strange. And then I just noted, like, I'm not even saying anything. I'm just like literally being like, isn't that weird? Like, why wouldn't they transfer it over? And then everyone's like reading into it. Like I'm not saying anything other than just giving you information I thought was interesting, but people just don't even care about that. Then the only person that said something interesting about it, well, there was a few people. One person said, and this was my theory too, that they could be waiting for these to expire. And then they have, my thought is maybe they have some sort of handshake deal so that Kojima could reapply for the trademarks, which is probably what's going to happen internationally. But, whatever your working theory is, it's like, I'm surprised that people aren't more curious about these little intricacies. I think it's really fascinating. And then Hogue had said that he's like, well, they could be talking about the copyright. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. So then I went to the copyright and look up and no, Sony owns the copyrights to Death Stranding and Death Stranding Director's Cut. There is no copyright submitted for Death Stranding 2 yet. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. I just thought I don't know like why people don't want more information. And it's just like everything's, and then some people accusing me of like making it up. I'm like, you can just go look for yourself. Like it's literally true. I mean,
right.
Just go like in the eyes of the US government, in the eyes of the British government, in the eyes of all these governments, this is true. Maybe it changes. I don't know. Anyway, people need to fucking calm down a little bit.
I don't know. Yeah, people are hostile. I also think it feels like I don't know. Maybe people looked at your tweet and they're like, "Look at this fucking nerd."
Well, I think they thought that I was saying something about it being exclusive or whatever, and I'm like, anyone who listens to the show knows that I'm like mega aggressive about Sony going multi-platform with a lot of their games. So I don't know why you would think that I would give a shit about that.
Well,
it's also not implied. It's also not implied at all by what you're saying.
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, that's also that wasn't the implication. And even if it was, it's like, why would you think I would care about that? I'm the one getting yelled at by my audience every week for saying they should put games on Switch.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. This next one comes from GameFile, which is Steve Totillo's industry Substack, and he sat down with Nick McGuire, who's the VP of Global Services at PlayStation. And they're talking specifically about PlayStation Plus, which is turning 15. It's crazy because I remember when PlayStation Plus first launched, and as I recall, people always have had consternation around PlayStation Plus, but people hated it when it came out. Do you guys remember that? Like people fucking hated PlayStation Plus. And I was one of those people in the beginning that was like, this is awesome. Like I think it's great. Like you could save all this money, you get all these different goods. And over time, I think it's found its way. He writes here, quote, launched on June 29th, 2010 for $50 a year. PlayStation Plus originally provided access to a monthly offering of recent game releases, initially for the PS3, PSP, and PS1, along with access to the PlayStation Lifestyle show Core. Do you guys remember that one? Core. In the years that followed, he writes, the monthly game offerings became the focus, with PS4 games added to the mix as that system rolled out. Later, PS5 titles began trickling in as well, as each monthly update expanded the subscribers' collection as long as they kept their subscription going. And McGuire says this interesting things. He says 15% of subscribers, so people like me, have hundreds of PS Plus games in their library, and that they've given out 500-ish games for free. It's pretty incredible. You could conceivably never buy something. And if you're really patient, a lot of really notable things do end up on PS Plus, which I find even more fascinating. Of course, I'm not that patient. He does miss something, though. Totilla misses something in here, which I think is pretty substantial, is that there was a major difference between PS3 and PS4's PS Plus, which was what, Dustin?
The online.
Right. That's when it became mandatory, basically.
Right.
And their numbers exploded. So we know it's in 2022. They launched the multi-tier PS Plus, which we remember. Essential at $60, Extra at $100, Premium at $120. Those prices are now $80 for Essential, $135 for Extra, and $160 for Premium. So that much in about 3 years. Now, there are a few interesting statistics in here that I want to note. Some of them are a little redundant because we had noted already in the PlayStation presentation, the weird fucking stilted scripted PlayStation presentation that we watched last week, that Premium and Extra are growing, especially Premium, which is up 18% year over year, which is crazy as people are finding more value in it. But one of the things that he says that I think people are circulating most from this article, and what I wanted to get into here, is kind of the reiteration that PlayStation is not going to include its own games or many new games at all in the PlayStation Plus, especially day and date. Totillo writes, quote, Microsoft also doesn't talk user counts for its competing Game Pass service. As we've noted, PS Plus doesn't report its numbers anymore, likely because it's plateaued. But its subscription plans tend to get more press thanks to Xbox's splashy commitment to include new first-party releases day and date for subscribers. Sony maintains that offering its next blockbusters immediately to Plus subscribers isn't a line it plans to cross. McGuire says, quote, we've sort of stayed true to our strategy across the board where we're not looking to put games in day and date. Sony has released some third-party games in the Plus, he writes, on these launch days, including puzzle game Blueprints in April and Remedy's multiplayer game FPC Firebreak this month. Sony's own games are added to Plus much later. McGuire says, quote, our strategy of finding 4 or 5 independent day and date titles and using that to complement our strategy of bringing games in when they're 12, 18 months old or older. That balance for us is really working well across the platform. And he says that the 4 to 5 games a year, day and date, is not necessarily set in stone. If they find good opportunities, it could go to 6 or 7 or more. So it's an interesting article. And this is maybe the one I'll leave off with. The top 10 most played PS Plus games from April 1st to May 28th in alphabetical order. Dead by Daylight, Ghost of Tsushima, God of War Ragnarok, Grand Theft Auto 5, Hogwarts Legacy, The Last of Us Part 1, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Rainbow Six Siege, and UFC 5. Not a huge surprise, I guess, Chris, that they're not going to change strategies.
Yeah.
It's
working.
Yeah, it is working. And I think subscriptions are just going to be supplemental and not really the whole package. At least we know in the American market from Circana data that there's a total plateau in subscriptions, and you assume that includes PS Plus and Game Pass. So why would you invest more into it to get less out of it? But this is the reiteration that I think they believe in their intent to keep things separated. Any thoughts to share?
Well, I just think they see two strategies very clearly operating on very varying degrees of success. I think they see Microsoft in a very awkward position, and they know that they don't want to be there, and they see their strategies working fine. Why would they? I really don't see a reason for them to even do anything, quite frankly, as far as like a shift in strategy or like a pivot. It's the right move for right now is to just do nothing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it type deal.
Dustin, are you at Premium or Extra right now? You're at one of those tiers.
I'm at Premium, but I made sure to make sure that it will not renew at time, because I think that it was just like I had multiple things, and they let you like upgrade for the rest of the year, so it wasn't the full price. But yeah, I think that Extra in particular is really appealing for probably a lot of listener or a lot of people outside of this audience. Like, I think a lot of our listeners, and us included, Extra and Premium are cool, but either we have a lot of those games because we bought them when they came out. And the classics, I mean, you can either just buy them a la carte or whatever. But for the non super hardcore, I bring up my friend Jason all the time. He is a PlayStation Plus Extra member, and he loves it because he got in on PlayStation 5 a little late. He had an Xbox One last generation, so he has more games than he could ever play with just getting Extra. And he's like, he doesn't need to buy and play the new and latest stuff. So for a situation like that, which is a lot of people, Extra and even Premium to some extent is an insanely good value for them. Not so much for us, as I said, just because we're buying and playing the latest stuff, but it's still, I think, even appealing to those people that are like, oh, I'm in between games. I can play whatever, this game that I missed that's on here.
Yeah, it's the same way with Ramon as well, who I gifted a year when I gave him my PS4 Pro to just fuck around with. I gave him a year of extra, and he's gotten everything he wants from there. I think he might have bought like WWE 2K something, the show or something. But other than that, I think and maybe not even the show this year because it's not on PS4. But Charlie Kelly wrote into us from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He says, "Hey CDC, PlayStation Plus turns 15 on June 29th, and to date, 760 games have been offered through the service, according to the PlayStation Wiki. What are your overall thoughts on PlayStation Plus, and what does Sony need to do to improve the service over the next 15 years? I'll deglove myself and listen." What is that?
That's a reference to Constellation the other day.
Okay.
Very good.
Charlie, thank you for writing in. We've talked a little bit about what we think needs to change or stay the same. I just want to reiterate at 15 years in, which is crazy that it's that old. It's like, I think PlayStation Plus has been wildly successful, and people hate on it, and that's fine. I've always kind of been in the PS Plus champions realm since I was a young writer. When I would write about all the money you would save and all the things you would get for free, I just never really understood the animosity around it. I understood the animosity around it more when it became less optional. It's always been optional, but it's beginning with PS4, it just became far less optional because if you wanted to play games online. But I even think a lot of the free to play stuff isn't tethered to PS Plus, right? So it's like you're playing like real online games with people to have PS Plus. And I know that that's a major reason why people want it. I think they've added a lot of value to it. And we were paying $50 a year, and now we're paying $70, I guess, or $80 a year, depending on where you are. And obviously it goes up from there. I don't know that they've added requisite value, but I don't really think that that's the end of the world either. And I really like the cloud savings. Some people would argue that that should just be included, but it seems like a value add that you might want to charge for. Speaking of PS Plus, we do have new games to talk about for everyone on PS Plus. This is for the essential tier, and so obviously the extra and premium tiers as well. July's freebies, which will be available very, very soon. In fact, they'll start being available. That's Tuesday, July 1st, and they'll be available through August 4th. And I would say this is a pretty big month. The biggest game of all is 2023's Diablo 4, which will be joining for PS5 and PS4. Obviously, the CRPG, very popular dungeon crawling, loot based, whatever role-playing game. Not really for me, but this is a big inclusion. And I wonder how much Microsoft is getting to put this game in there. I would imagine a lot of money. So there's that. There's also the 2022 fighter from SNK, King of Fighters 15. Is this one of the good King of Fighters? Because don't they bounce back and forth? Where one, like, I think the odd number ones are good and the even number ones are bad. I think people have figured out for some reason. I have no idea. Awesome. I think this is one of the good ones. It's a digging game. And then the final one is the Don't Nod weird kind of platformer puzzly game called Jusant that came out in 2023. That will be available on PS5 as well. And then because they're celebrating 15 years of PlayStation Plus, there's going to be a few extra freebies. PS Plus premium members can get a game trial of WWE 2K25. Game trials will be available for premium members for Monster Hunter Wilds as well. This coming weekend now, so there'll be the 27th through the 29th, PlayStation Plus members will be able to grab savings on Sniper Elite Resistance, Civ 7, Star Wars Outlaws. There'll be Valorant PS Plus packs, bunch of PlayStation tournaments, discounts on Sony Pictures Core if you want to get that subscription, and then online multiplayer weekend, beginning the 28th through the 29th, where all players can join online multiplayer matches with no PlayStation Plus membership required. So a few nice celebrations for people. Anything for you guys in here? I guess I'll grab and add this Jusant game to my list, but I have no plan on playing it anytime soon. I guess maybe I would just grab Diablo just to have it, but I doubt I'm ever going to really play it. It does come with cross-play and cross-progression, if you're interested in that. Dustin, anything for you?
Yeah. Diablo 4, I played on PC when it came out, and I fell off it pretty hard. I know they've done a ton of updates to this game, and I've been wanting to maybe play this co-op with Holly. So this is a good opportunity because I think it has local co-op on system. If not, she has a PC, so we could do the crossplay. So that's cool. And controller on Diablo actually pretty damn good, surprisingly. So I'm excited about that. I will never touch King of Fighters, and I don't know anything about this Jusant game. So those are a skip for me, but I'll definitely download Diablo.
Yeah, King of Fighters is pretty hardcore. Dagan loves the SNK fighters. And I think King of Fighters is like the crossover stuff where you get like Fatal Fury characters in it, Art of Fighting characters, and so on and so forth. So if you're into that sort of thing, it's there for you. We'll sure to revive the game for the community that plays it online, I assume. Let's see, what else here? Oh, this was a big piece of news. I don't know if you guys saw this. It's just fun for us. I know Gene doesn't like when we go into numbers, he said. He doesn't appreciate my level of autism. But Sega accidentally leaked some sales figures, which they quickly took down. Did you guys happen to see these when they went up? Pretty interesting. And I wanted to also include officially announced numbers as well. So the officially announced numbers from Sega is that Metaphor ReFantazio has now surpassed 2 million units. I feel like that's kind of soft for that game, considering the pedigree of the studio that made it and how good it is. I highly recommend that game. But the sales data otherwise was compiled by Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit, and they write here Sega accidentally leaks 6 years of sales data for some of their games. So the games that they leak numbers for are Persona 5 Royal, Sonic Frontiers, Team Sonic Racing, Total War 3 Kingdoms, Yakuza Like a Dragon, Sonic Superstars, Total War Warhammer 3, Shin Megami Tensei 5, Persona 3 Reload, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, and Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name. And they even have them broken down from fiscal year, so all the way back to fiscal year 2020 if those games were out, all the way through fiscal year 2025. So a huge error on their part to expose these numbers, but I think the numbers show a pretty healthy company. This Persona 5 number is especially interesting because this doesn't include Persona 5's original run on PS3 and PS4. So this is only Persona 5 Royal, and it's at 7.25 million units sold. Selling pretty briskly, like 1 million in fiscal year 2020, 700,000 in fiscal year 21, 350 in 2020 and 22, 1.8 in 23, 1.6 in 24, 1.75 in 25. Geez, dude, I'd keep Persona 6 far away. If you're selling this amount of game, you're just making free money. The game's been done for fucking generations at this point. Really wild stuff. What did you think of those numbers, Dustin, especially the Persona number?
I mean, the Persona is totally crazy because, as you mentioned, this is the Royal version, not the OG version. So, and in addition, I think we talked about this just recently, that this was one of those games that was the original, not Royal, was included.
Hold on, someone's at my door. You keep going. Someone's at my door.
Who could it be? But the original Persona 5 was included in that PS5 instant game library at launch. So a lot of people had access to the original, but it seems like a lot of people are still buying Royal. And of course, they released it on other platforms too. So it's out on Switch and Xbox and PC as well. So I'm sure that helped quite a bit, but kind of makes sense why they have a fucking million spin-off games of Persona 5 now. Makes complete sense. Keep making more Phantom Thieves games. But so 7 million though, man, that's
a wild number. That's way more. Well, I don't know if it's way more than I would have assumed, but it's more than I thought for sure, especially if that's just that Royal version. Sonic showing up, the Sonic fans are showing up, supporting the Sonic Frontiers at 4.5 total.
Yeah,
since fiscal year 2023. Team Sonic Racing at 3.5. I mean, look, man, I guess do you think that movie did a lot for Sonic or no? Or do you think it's overstated?
I think Sonic, that movie, did do a huge amount for Sonic as a brand as a whole, as far as, it is translating over to games as well. But I mean, think about all the Sonic merchandise and all that kind of shit that they've sold.
Sonic is definitely inexplicably popular. I've always confused, like, whenever I meet people and they tell me that they're Sonic fans, I'm always surprised by it. It's always like a surprise. Yeah, and it really should stop. I guess I shouldn't be surprised anymore.
What's surprising to me, Sonic Frontiers. So we're talking, Sonic is at the height of his popularity right now with multiple films, the stupid Paramount Plus show. in fiscal year 2025. So it sold 610,000 copies. Persona 5 Royal sold 1.75 million. So, like, is Persona bigger than Sonic? I mean, certainly in terms of video games. That's just the fact that Persona is outselling a mainline Sonic game is insane to me. I mean, that's surely Persona is Sega's absolute biggest thing, right? I mean, across the board. Persona 3 Reload, though, only at 2 million. You guys got to get those numbers up because that game rules.
Those are rookie numbers. Yeah, sorry. We're doing our yearly termite inspection, and the guy needed to get into the garage, so that was nothing urgent. Sorry to leave like that. Mike is not here, so she couldn't answer the door.
When did Persona 5 Royal come out?
It was 2020.
Yeah, 20. It says
2020.
Yeah.
But that's when it came out, or is that like Team Sonic Racing as well?
I don't know about Sonic Racing. I just remember that I actually got, it's one of my last review codes that I got Persona 5 Royal 2 weeks early. And it was during the height of the pandemic, like lockdown pandemic when I got it.
I'm only asking because I'm looking at like the fiscal year, like I'm looking at Team Sonic Racing specifically and then Persona 5 and like every month, with the exception of, I guess, fiscal year 2023. Oh no, I guess like in 2023 and 2024, Persona 5 picks up. Like
I think
crazy.
those are the years it went multi-plat.
Yeah, so
that makes
Switch.
sense.
Yeah, like Persona 5 Royal comes out in Japan in late 2019 and in the West in early 2020. And then it comes to Switch, PS5, PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series S and X in 2022. So that's why you're seeing
that
bump again. Sonic Team Sonic Racing, I'm sorry, came out in 2019. So this is actually missing numbers. So it's actually going to be more than this.
Right, yeah.
Like a Dragon is probably missing numbers too. So these numbers are actually probably low. And it's just amazing. I mean, if you include Persona 5 OG, you're talking easily over 10 million for that game, which is a lot. So no wonder they take their time and then do all these re-releases. None of these numbers are particularly surprising to me. I guess actually maybe the most surprising is that even a game like Shin Megami Tensei can sell 2 million units. And it's no insult to it. It's just crazy that there's a hardcore enough audience that would want to play something like that. That's a very retro styled, old, long, grueling kind of game. And then, I heard you guys, the tail end of it, but it's just Sonic games just killing.
Yeah, murdering.
The man who erased his name only at less than 1 million is a little interesting. Yakuza Fatigue?
Yeah. Fatigue, and that one requires the context of all the previous Yakuza games. It's not an easy jump on point like a Dragon was.
All right. Well, let's see here. Sega, congratulations, and specifically on 2 million for Metaphor. Keep going and supporting that game. And speaking of sales, I just wanted to throw out here. Gamatsu reports Liza P has surpassed 3 million units sold. So congratulations to NeoWiz, and which is the publisher, right, in Round 8, which is the studio that made it, South Korean outfit. That game came out less than 2 years ago, so 3 million in 2 years. Good word of mouth for that game, and new DLC that I'm sure pushed it over the top as well. I saw this circulating, this next story. Just wanted to acknowledge it. I don't know that there's much to say about it, but people did write in about it, so I did want to put it in here. Easy Icon wrote in and said, "Hello, CDC. Question about Square Enix. In a recent investors meeting, Square was asked about Claire Obscure's success, giving the response from Square being that they're aware of it. This has started to make some fans believe they will go back to a turn-based gameplay, but they never went anywhere. Live Alive, Octopath, Dragon Quest, etc. have all been turn-based. Are people just stupid at this point? Sorry for the long write-in. Thanks, and stay off the internet and go outside and stare at a plant." You can see me online staring at plants, ironically, as my wife tweets pictures of me through our security cameras. That's always nice. So friend of the show, Genki, on Twitter, writes, quote, "Square Enix reportedly say they are aware of Expedition 33 and that they value turn-based RPGs. At the Square Enix shareholders meeting, one investor said they would like the new Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy games to be turn-based and highlighted Expedition 33 successes as an example. Square Enix responded that they are aware of Expedition 33 and believe that command-based RPGs are the origin of Square Enix. They value the genre of command-based RPGs and plan to continue delivering such games in the future," end quote. It's a little outrageous for a Square Enix shareholder to say he wants the next Dragon Quest game to be turn-based. Are you crazy? Do you think that that's not going to be turn-based. I mean, maybe that would be fucking crazy if they made us. I mean, only Dragon Quest X really broke the mold, and I would really be bummed about that if they did anything else. Final Fantasy, I think, is a different story entirely, and in fact, I don't think it should be turn-based. I think Final Fantasy 16 was fucking extraordinary, and they've melded these different action and menu-based options really nicely. Final Fantasy 16 is a masterpiece, especially of gameplay. It's fucking awesome. However, Dustin, I thought this was kind of much ado about nothing, because as was noted in the letter that we got from Easy Icon, they release a shit ton of turn-based games all the time. Dragon Quest 3 and Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD are both turn-based games. They release random turn-based games like Romancing Saga and all this shit. I mean, they're definitely, maybe people don't want to play them. Maybe they're older. They're certainly not of the highest quality, often retro styled. But man, they've been busting these games out, whether it's Octopath Traveler or... I just don't really see why people were circulating the story. That's why I wasn't going to include it, but I didn't want to ignore it because people did write in.
Yeah. Well, I think something to think about is Expedition 33 didn't sell as well as it did because it was turn-based. In fact, I would say it sold well in spite of it being turn-based. You know, because I think that was one of the biggest barriers for people, is that initially a lot of people maybe wouldn't even wanted to have touched that game with it being turn-based. But they were convinced because of its active combat. But I think more importantly, it's just its story and its world was what really drew people in more than anything. So I do think it's irrelevant. And them saying they're aware of it doesn't mean anything in my mind, like at all. So yeah, it's interesting that the question was asked, but I don't think it's anything worth reading into.
Chris, I was curious what you thought of this next one. System Shock 2 Remake got a last-minute delay on PlayStation 5. It was due out imminently. In fact, it's today on PC, and it was supposed to come out on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 at the same time, but it has been delayed at least a few weeks. This is a remake of the classic 1999 PC RPG I have never played. I'm really, really excited to play it because obviously we are both BioShock nerds, and I fell in love with System Shock 1 Remake. Like, I was shocked, pardon the pun, by how fucking good it was. I loved it. And apparently this game is like crazy good. And I'm like, I was so excited about it, but and it was of course written and designed by the one Ken Levine, who then went on to make BioShock. But I was both disappointed, but also heartened because I'm like, I have no time for this right now.
Right. Yeah.
So give me a few more weeks. It's a little ominous that they're delaying it so late and that they don't have a release date, but they say it should be out by the middle of July. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's bizarre. Like they must have found like a last minute like major issue. I get, like, I don't know why you would do this if not that, you know what I mean? Like it just seems, or like maybe there's like a legal thing. I really have no idea. I don't know if it necessarily bodes negatively. If it was more substantial of a delay, I would be more concerned. The implication of it being just a couple weeks seems to indicate that it is more of like a this is something that's very fixable, or if it is an issue, it's very fixable, to the degree that if it isn't an issue, it's probably just some legal thing or whatever. I'm not necessarily that worried about it, and I'm also kind of heartened as well, just because like I know that this would have been, if this was out right now, I would have been thinking about it, and I can't be thinking about it right now. But I'm looking forward to this. I love those games. I have a little bit of experience with System Shock 2. I played, I think, maybe like an hour or two of it, like a long time ago. But the controls on old pieces, like the old controls for original System Shock 2 are, by modern standards, quite, how would I say this? Quite horrible. Like there's no way to, like, it's I'm sure it was good for the time or whatever, but like we've advanced so far as like what we expect games to control and feel like, but the vibe of System Shock 2 is really cool, and I'm excited to see that with a little bit of a glow up.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on Steam. It is out now, and so people can
Yeah.
check it out if they want. It's already getting reviews, very positive, 109. It looks fucking awesome. I can't wait. Dustin, are you gonna play System Shock 2 Remake like Ken would want you to?
Yeah, at some point. So I don't know if this is a game I would rather play on PC or PlayStation. So it's irrelevant right now. And honestly, probably, I'm sure that they're annoyed that they have to separate their release date. But at least on PlayStation, a lot of people are playing a different game.
Yeah, I wonder if that
this
has.
weekend.
Yeah, I wonder if that has anything to do with it too. And then you just want to delay all of the console versions at the same time.
Yeah.
But maybe not. I mean, what different audiences perhaps? I don't know. I'm not even really sure how Death Stranding is going to do commercially. Obviously, critically, it's
a good question. Yeah,
it's dumb. If people are as hungry for first party, slant, it's really not it's kind of a second party game. But if you are that hungry, then I guess you'll buy it, right? Right. All right. Let's see. Final piece of news, I believe, and do what you have to do, Night Dive. We're very excited to play it nonetheless. But the final piece of news, I just wanted to put this, not really news, but the Blood of Dawnwalker got a new gameplay overview, which now has more than 400,000 views in 4 days on their official YouTube channel. This is, of course, the game that was announced not too long ago from a new studio called Rebel Wolves, which is kind of a spin-off of people that worked on Witcher at CD Projekt, and it's being published by Bandai Namco. For a reminder, and I just pulled it up on Wikipedia, quote, The Blood of Dawnwalker, is a vampire-themed dark fantasy action role-playing game set in a gothic fictional 14th century kingdom called Vale Sangora, located in the Carpathian Mountains. Drawing from Eastern European folklore, players explore a richly detailed world filled with supernatural creatures, moral dilemmas, and political intrigue. It's a mix of predominantly Romanian motifs with broader influences of Balkan cultures. It's got a little bit of a Castlevania vibe to me, in my opinion. I'm really, really excited about this game. I wanted to just see what you guys thought of the gameplay and if it was something that you might be interested in.
Yeah, this is Lockmort bait through and through. And you can tell that it's made by Witcher devs. So the only thing that I was really unsure about is that it has this combat system that sort of reminds me of what I played of Kingdom Come Deliverance, where there's like an arrow of where this person, they're going to attack, and you kind of like have to strategically swing your sword in different directions. Might be fun. I don't know. I wasn't into it in Kingdom Come Deliverance, but maybe I just didn't give it enough of a chance. Mm-hmm. But this looks cool. Looks pretty impressive for a new team. And the last thing, I love videos like this. In fact, more developers, if you're especially showing off a new IP, new studio, just show us. It doesn't even need to be 20 minutes. Show us like 10 minutes of someone playing the game with some voiceover explaining some stuff. That's fantastic. In fact, I look forward to Rockstar normally does this stuff before their games comes out. Like I remember watching one for GTA 5, and maybe they did one for Red Dead where they just show like, this is what it's like to play the game. Fantastic. That's all you need.
Okay. No date yet on this one, by the way. 2026 though is the release year. Anything you want to say, Chris, before we move on?
No, it looks good. It does look. It looks very Witcher, and I don't know how I feel about that because like The Witcher was a game that I eventually came around to liking quite a bit, but it took a couple tries. And so like I'm looking at this, I'm like, is this going to be the same thing? I don't know. It's far enough away that this is kind of just not really on my radar at all right now. 2026, there's so much to play right now, and even just like later on in this year, I'll think about it then. But it looks good. It looks really high quality. Like it's kind of wild that it looks this good.
All right. Let's get into what we're playing. All right. So we're all playing Death Stranding, although you guys are playing Death Stranding 2 on the bitch. And I'm playing the director's cut of Death Stranding 1 still. I'll go quickly and then we can get into your stuff. It'll probably take me another week or two to do what I really want to do in this game. I'm 55% through and I'm 53 hours in. I'm really, really enjoying my time with this game, playing it just the way I think it's meant to be played, which is slowly. And the first time I played through the game, I should have looked how many hours I played the PS4 version. It was probably around this many hours, maybe even less than this. And eventually I started just kind of not doing all of the little things like constructing. In the environment, I'm not constructing pretty much anything but roads. And there's something so satisfying, especially in that second map, not to spoil it, like the middle of the country, where you can make a whole circular road around the whole map, but it takes like forever to do. But then when you do it, it makes the game so much easier, and there's something so satisfying about it. The only thing I wish that was different was that they decay, and you have to like constantly keep them up. They don't decay that quickly, but you have to like give them new metals and ceramics and all the rest. But otherwise, I'm in like the sixth chapter, I think, or something like that now. And I'm literally just doing everything. Like every single thing that's available to deliver to every single person, like way outstripping their 5-star rankings, getting the rank, the stars on your pants, which is so satisfying. And I didn't play it like that the first time. I played it for pretty completely, but I was like, I didn't do everything that I could do. And I'm really just trying to do that. And not be unbothered by the fact that the new game's out and all the rest. And I'll just get into it when right after this. So there's not much to say about it. We've talked about this game ad nauseum, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So I'll get to Death Stranding. I bought Death Stranding 2. It's on my console. It's right next to Death Stranding, so it's a little tantalizing and tempting, but I'm not there yet. So I'll get there eventually, but I'm really thrilled to see you guys playing it. I'm thrilled to see the reaction from critics and consumers alike. Big Boss BE wrote in and said, "Hey, Sacred Boys, can we all just pause for a sacred moment and appreciate the mad genius, the celestial being, the walking enigma wrapped in sunglasses and cryptic tweets that is Hideo Kojima? The man just can't stop delivering art disguised as video games. I swear he wakes up every morning, sips on black coffee brewed from raw creativity, and drops yet another masterpiece like it's just another Tuesday. And here we are again, witnessing what looks like another mind-bending journey straight from Kojima's beautiful, slightly unhinged brain. The man is like a playable David Lynch film, and we're so here for it. We are genuinely blessed to be alive during the Kojima-verse. From Metal Gear Solid's fourth wall-breaking psychoanalysis to Death Stranding's Amazon Prime meets existential crisis simulator, the guy has been feeding our gamer souls for decades, and he's still going strong like he made a pact with a time-traveling AI from the year 2099. I don't know about you, but I'm already mentally preloading Death Stranding 2, controller charged, heart ready, BB unit emotionally prepped, and I cannot wait to hear your high-level brain takes once you dive in. Knowing Kojima, half of us won't even understand what we just played. But we'll pretend we do because art. I will say that about the first Death Stranding is I'm getting so much more out of it this time around than I did the first time. Like story-wise and character-wise, there's so much to it. And by the way, it is a deeply pro-life game. I mean, that feeling has just been totally reiterated in me, but there's so much to it. Way more to say than just that. All right, let's get into it. Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I don't know. How long have you played? How much have you played into it?
Quite a lot. I think I'm on chapter 5.
Oh, you're further in than I am.
Yeah. And I also I want to be respectful to the audience that is, maybe picking it up this weekend or playing. So I kind of want to stay very limited.
I would also appreciate that.
Yeah.
I was thinking if I even wanted to walk away for this segment, but I'm not going to do that.
So I don't even want to talk about new gameplay mechanics or the story at all. So here's, after probably in the last few days, like, I don't know, 8 to 10 hours of it. It's awesome. It's really fucking awesome. It is probably, I don't know, it might be the best looking game on PlayStation 5, or at least in the top 3. Like this. Yeah. And I brought up Demon Souls. When I booted this up, I was like, holy shit. This is visually one of the most impressive games from both the environments and the character models. Huge step up from Death Stranding 1, which is just crazy because it doesn't feel like it was really that long ago. But this is a game, and I know I've seen people do this on tweets and stuff, that this feels like a generational, like you're actually going from one console to another. Colin, you're laughing.
No, I'm sorry. No, it's not. Go ahead. Sorry.
Maybe self-conscious. And
that I apologize.
No, you're good. The key things, if you've played Death Stranding 1, or if you haven't played Death Stranding 1, you cannot hop right into Death Stranding 2. Do not do that. Do not come. You absolutely have to play the first one for the story. There's a recap in the menu. I didn't watch it, but to my understanding, it's
inadequate.
It's inadequate. You really need to play the first one. And if you really can muster it, I'm so thankful that I replayed the first one right before playing 2. because it's all fresh. And like Colin, I got a lot more out of it the second time I played it.
Well, here's why I was smiling, is because I was reading the name of the next person that was writing it, and it's about this very topic.
Oh, okay.
Chris and Colin making love in the Nintendo Direct announcer in Southern Man voice wrote in.
Oh.
So now you know why I was smiling, because I was trying to figure out what the next. But this is a perfect inquiry for what you just said. Fellas, when Sony and Kojima Productions love each other very much, we get a new game release from Hideo Kojima's Cloaca. I'm super excited and pre-ordered Death Stranding 2, but I'm still playing Death Stranding 1. Life got in the way of my initial playthrough, so I started a new game, and I'll savor it right into Death Stranding 2. Colin, being the troph goat that you are, has replaying games before diving into sequels ever burned you out? I'm either going to be sucked into being Norman Reedus over both games, or wish I had a palate cleanser in between. Forgetting controls because I took a long break on a game is annoying as fuck. I'll go to a strip club and tell the dancers they don't have to be doing this. They're special. And listen. I did hear that they remapped some of the controls, which is going to be interesting to play back to back, but I am playing it back to back, and I'm a person who loves doing that. A lot of people think it's weird. I did that. Remember, I played Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales again right into Spider-Man 2, and so on and so forth. And I like the process of doing that. I don't get tired. And Final Fantasy VII Remake or Rebirth and the remake and so on, I don't get tired of it. So I'm not going to have a problem with it personally, but I can imagine some people would be burned out by it. But that's not the way I operate. So you're saying this is not a vital, but a preferred way to do it.
Yeah, I think that if I had done what you had done, Colin, and 100%ed the game, I would be burned out going into 2. When I just did my recent playthrough of 1, I, for the most part, mainlined it, because I've done a lot of the, I've never 100%ed it, but I've done the crazy shit where you're building all the roads, building zip lines, stuff like that. So I've gotten balls deep, but this recent playthrough wasn't that. It was just mainly story. So I recommend it. You don't have, if you've played it, you don't have to. I would maybe watch a YouTube video that's a little more extensive to refresh yourself. But the other thing that I can say is just that it is more Death Stranding. This isn't like a radical new direction, but with that said, the improvements across the board, quality of life, the way the game feels, the way the different vehicles feel, the new additions that I won't get into, all of it has been awesome. And even the improvements to combat are much appreciated, because I know a lot of people, myself included, in Death Stranding 1, tried to avoid combat at all costs. Mm-hmm. And this game is not like that. And to transition over to Chris, and don't take this the wrong way, Colin, there's a little bit of Metal Gear Solid 5 in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In a very good way. And I'll leave it at that.
Really? Because I feel like there's a little bit of Metal Gear Solid 5 in Death Stranding 1. You know?
Well, more so.
More so.
Yeah, more so.
Just all the menu-based stuff and all the like mission stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, but I'll be interested to see that. Yeah, I'm. It's interesting because I am really, really excited about it, but I already love what I love about Death Stranding, and so I'm excited to see what kind of how the additions vibe with me. It's funny, man, because I really even feel like the director's cut has major quality of life improvements in it that weren't in the original, including I had noted last week, I think, in the show that the Maser gun, I was like, what? Like, I got it. And I'm like, why didn't I use this? I don't remember using this in the first game. And I'm like fucking blasting these, the mules and stuff. And I remember just driving around them and trying to run around them and just avoiding them. And I was blasting these guys away. And then it's like, oh no, this is new. So they realized that they had to do something about the stilted combat. Although I liked the idea of not fighting, like really not being able to fight very well and all of that. It kind of felt a little bit more realistic to me, but whatever. All right, so that sounds good. By the way, we'll get very deep into spoiling the game, reviewing it in depth on Sacred Symbols Plus in the weeks to come. So
yeah,
don't worry about that. But we do. I think it's good that we respect and we kind of a little vague with things. All right, Chris, let's get over to you. Your thoughts on Death Stranding 2.
Yeah, man. I mean, I really, again, we're trying to keep it light to not ruin it for anybody. But I would have to just echo a lot of what Dustin's saying. Like, it does feel like. It just feels like Death Stranding 1 done a little bit more elegantly, a lot more fluidly. Like the menu systems in Death Stranding 1, I remember kind of getting fucked around with, and it's still, to be fair, complicated in Death Stranding 2, but it's a lot. Things flow better. There's also, and I don't remember if this was in the original Death Stranding, if not, maybe the director's cut, but this, they seem to have included this Final Fantasy 16 kind of lore.
Oh yeah,
the corpus, I think it's what it's called in the game, which is like, I don't know if this is in the director's cut. I don't really remember. You guys
there are like interviews and emails and stuff, but there's no like
it's like
lore. No.
Yeah, so if something comes up during a conversation, a little icon will come up to the right, and it's just like Final Fantasy 16 basically, and you can hit it and learn all you need to know about it, and it's just like, that's good shit,
dude.
Cool.
For every character, and it'll say like the story so far updated. Right. So if you're like, what just happened? What was that a few hours ago? You can go and read that and refresh yourself. It's very concise. Very nice.
I think. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's really the one thing I wanted to shout out, because I think that's not really an experience ruining thing to say about the game. It's just like, that's a really cool addition. I wish that was in more games, and to see it here is like really, to see it here, especially in a game that is so conceptually rich and narratively weaving, is very appreciated, very cool. I love the intro. I think it's gorgeous. The music is awesome. Music's fantastic. There's a song.
I want the vinyl.
Yeah, there's a particular song that plays really early on that I was just really happy to see, because I just was not expecting it. It's just such a weird, very strange choice, but I love it. And so yeah, I mean, again, we can't really say much. We'll get in a lot deeper when we do our spoiler thing or whatever, but it's very, very good. It's paced a lot better, I think, than Death Stranding 1. Like, things happen a little bit faster. You're able to kind of weave into the flow of things. And I've been hooked into this loop of completionism in a way that I wasn't necessarily with the first one, where like, if I see in the first game, it kind of got to the point where like, if I saw a package somewhere, I would kind of I'll maybe, if I'm going there, I'll pick it up. But now it's like, okay, that's going there. All right, let me check my map. It's like, okay, let me draw the route. And I'm a lot more into it this time. I'm building roads like a motherfucker, which is something I did a little bit of in the first Death Stranding, but didn't do to the degree. I certainly didn't do it to the degree that I'm doing it right now. Like, I've played about 15 hours, and I think I just hit chapter 4 because I was spending so much time on roads. But yeah, I'm really enjoying my time with it. Death Stranding 2 is great so far.
Yeah, it sucks to have to be so vague about it, but yeah, I think it's important that we respect this particular game for people.
100%.
I'm sure everyone's playing it out there, and yeah, we'll get to. So we might do two spoiler casts for it again, because you guys will probably be ready before me, and there's probably going to be more than 4 people that want to do it. So I think we'll be all right to do 2 again if necessary. But we'll get something out in the next few weeks, I assume. Well, Death Stranding 2 review discussion and spoiler cast. Cool. I'm excited to play it. Final exit question here before we get into listener inquiries and wrap the show up. This is gonna be a shorter show. Looks like there's not too much this week, I guess. Timothy McVeigh's delivery service wrote in. Oh boy. Colin, my king, when will you be partaking in the current game of the year with Doom in the Dark Ages now that trophies are fixed? That will happen at some point this summer. I mean, I've owned the game. I bought the game. It's sitting on my cross media bar, and I was actually thinking, I'm like, do I want to play it after Death Stranding 1 and before Death Stranding 2? And I just doubt that that's going to happen. So I'm obviously going to get to it, but
yeah. And
I actually played Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal all the way through earlier this year in preparation for that. Another thing, just like playing Borderlands 1 and 2 all the way through this year, I'm really going back and playing a lot of stuff this year. It's not a lot of games. It's a lot of game hours that I'm dumping in this stuff. It's so fun. Right. I'm just enjoying myself. I feel like I'm enjoying myself playing games in ways that I haven't in a long time. Yeah. Just really letting go of having to keep up. I just don't care. There are certain games that I would drop everything for, contextless. So for instance, when the Heretic Prophet comes out, I'll obviously be all over that. But there are other games where you have to prepare for them, and it's there. It's waiting for you. If you've waited this long, why not wait a few more weeks and do it the right way? As opposed
Colin, hypothetically, if a Mega Man game shadow dropped today.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I would play that for sure.
Then immediately you'd be just like, all right, no, this is the prime focus now.
Yeah, that would become a major attention seeker. Although if it's a classic Mega Man game, it's not going to require that much before I can move on to
true. Yeah.
to the next thing. But yeah, no, there are things that would distract me, but none of those things exist right now in a way pressing enough that it makes me want to move on. And like every night I turn on, I'll play Death Stranding 1 for between probably 4 and 7 hours a night. And so every night I turn it on and I do feel a little pressure, like stop, just like this person has 5 stars. They have nothing left to give you, you know, like you have all the resources from them. You got all the dialogue. And I'm like, but this package says it was never delivered to them. It's mission number 310. And this person needs his medicine. I'm bringing it.
Yeah.
I'm bringing the medicine and I'm going to use my fucking really robust road system to do it. One of the things, and I'm sure Death Stranding 2 is like this too, and I think it's one of the things that I didn't approve. Well, let me just explain it, and then I'll before I even interrupt myself. The connectivity between other players. I don't know if it was because we played it so early and it wasn't fully occupied yet and robust with all of its different systems, or if it's the director's cut that heightens those connections. But I feel like my world is just full of shit other people built. Like I don't build anything except for the roads. And even then, like it seems like a bunch of people are working on the roads. And I don't know that it's, in fact, I'm positive it's not a literal contribution, but rather some sort of meta between the games. But like when you pulse over a road that you built, you can see all the names will pop up of the people that built the road. And it's just cool. You know what it reminds me of a little bit is Journey. In that there's an amorphous connectivity to other players, but you really don't get it. And right. I told you guys that when I beat Journey, the only time I ever played it, I felt so sad at the end because I thought I was playing with the same person, only to have played with like 6 or 7 different people. And it kind of shattered me emotionally because it says like you've played with and it has like all the different names, but you don't really know who the people are. This game, it has the names, but you don't really know who people are building, and you're seeing little ghosts of them and things that they've done. And who knows how much of it is kind of like, you make like these social connections with people, I guess, and you just draw their shit in your game. So, and the higher level you get, the more of those connections you can make. So it's something that I've come to appreciate a lot more about the game than I did the first time. I remember the first game feeling a lot more lonely. This game doesn't feel lonely, actually. You always feel like you were somewhere someone was 5 minutes ago. It's very unique in that way. Very excited about Death Stranding 2. I'm so pleased that you guys are enjoying it. It seems like it's reviewed very well. I'll be very interested to see how it sells. And of course, where it goes from here. Are they going to expand it? They'll obviously, I assume, bring it to PC. And then we'll see what happens from there. Shout out to Kojima and Sony for making that happen. And I guess now they're on to Fizzint, which will probably not come out for the next 5 years or so. And I looked up Fizzint's trademark as well, and Kojima owns that right out. I thought it might have been like a Sony Pictures thing, but it's not. All right, let's get into, as we wrap up this briefer episode of Sacred Symbols, the PlayStation Podcast, 6 questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, and ideas from the audience over on Patreon, patreon.com/laststandmedia. You guys know the drill. You submit your inquiries to the weekly threads on the newsfeed. I pick through them. You already heard a bunch of your inquiries throughout the show, and we'll end, as we always do, with 6 more here. We'll begin with Wadwy, BWADWY. Says, hello, the 3 Musketeers. That's not nice to call me that. I have a small little baby question. What do you all prefer? Established characters to play in an RPG or completely customized characters? Think Witcher versus the Elder Scrolls. Hope you 3 have a wonderful day. I'll spank it and listen. It's an interesting question on the basis of playing Death Stranding. So you get your character. Do you prefer that? Or do you prefer morphing and making a character of your own? Not even like Shepard, but in Mass Effect, but something truly unique like the Wastelander in Fallout 3. I prefer to have the character delivered to me. I want to play as a character. I think that's more satisfying. I don't want to play as myself. I'm not in fucking Mass Effect. I'm not in Fallout. I'm not trying to pretend I'm in Fallout. I'm a podcaster. I'm a writer. It's who I am. Give me the characters all day. Dustin.
It's kind of a boring answer, but it really depends. I think overall I am in line with you, Colin, that I would prefer a character that is written and fleshed out and part more seamlessly integrated with the story. But I do like the open-ended nature when you can create your own character and kind of create your own little story for them in your head. But the main thing to complain about is games that do them half and half. That is the absolute fucking worst. Persona is, I guess this is a small thing, but in Persona 5, and I guess all the Persona games, I think, you get to name your character. Like, why? Just have the character's name be something, and then the other characters can just use his fucking name instead of being like, oh, hey, Joker, or our leader really is down to do that. You know, it's like, no, just name the fucking character. I can't stand that shit, and I don't need it to be my name. I always go, anytime that happens, the first thing I do, go to Google, search canon character name. Because usually, even if it's just some stupid thing like, well, in this demo, they had it be this name, and that's the only canon name that we can find. Good. I'll use that. I just can't stand it when it's somewhere in between. So, yeah, I guess that's my rant about that.
Chris?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there are... I agree with you. Like the half and half thing is kind of annoying. I do think Mass Effect did it kind of the best, where you get to pick the character's first name, but all the characters still say Shepard or whatever. I think that was like a clever way to do it. I think it depends on how alive the world is, if that makes sense. And so, like, in a game like Mass Effect, which has a lot of characters and a lot of quests to do, but the world itself is very static, I think I would prefer to play as an existing character and see like whatever their story is, because clearly the game is built more about it's clearly built more around the writing and the characters and the story development there. So like, yes, set me on a path for specific, instances, give me a role to play, I guess. But in a game like, I don't know, Fallout or the Elder Scrolls, where it's more about being in the world and kind of like doing your own thing, like I much prefer, I lean towards that because I like just existing in a space. I actually wish Cyberpunk 2077 had an option like that. Like Cyberpunk 2077 feels kind of at odds with itself because like the city is so big and so interactive, and you feel like you really could just get lost and do it like doing anything in that game. But I got Keanu Reeves in my brain. I can't really just live a day in Night City no matter how much I want to, because there's I'm getting calls from like fixers about like, there's a cyber psycho down the street, you got to take care of it. And I'm like, all right, well, this is good for the first playthrough, but it kind of makes subsequent playthroughs a little bit less dynamic. And I think what I like about games like Fallout and Skyrim is that every time I go back to play those games, it's really never the same thing twice. It's really never the exact same path. It's never the exact same story. It's never the exact same experience. Whereas like a game like Mass Effect, which I love, by the way, is a little bit more like I'm gonna go do that story again. And there's value in that, but I think I prefer the dynamic kind of nature of like a Bethesda or like a Fallout or Skyrim. But if the story's damn good, you can't beat that. Mass Effect 2, Cyberpunk 2077, Witcher 3. Those are iconic. Then there are other games that try that and they're just like, you kind of didn't really do that well.
Yeah, I'd rather just, I mean, it's to each their own, I guess. I would rather have a story delivered to me with like real exposition. And
yeah, I guess I look at it like, if you want to deliver me a story then, and you want me to stay vividly in line with this character, it's like, why make it an RPG at all? Like, why put choices in it at all? Like why let me decide who Commander Shepard is if he's a commander and there's already kind of like an inherent, like if you're a commander, you kind of assume like there's a way that you have to be. And I get that there's value in that and it's cool. I just kind of feel like the best story based games that I've ever played are, generally speaking, not RPGs. Because like you can be too cacophonous and too incongruent with yourself in it. Like you can just be like, oh, I'm Commander Shepard and I'm really nice, but you know what? I'm going to punch this reporter just because I want to right now. And then it just kind of doesn't make sense, but you did it because it was fun. Whereas like something like, I don't know, like The Last of Us is like, there's no RPG, there's no choice in that at all. But it's a highly, impactful narrative. Or like BioShock, where there's It's really only there is choice there, kind of, but like the story, like you're not gonna meet like you can't go through that game without meeting certain characters. You know what I mean? It's not like a I don't know. I think about narrative in a. I want narrative if it's there and if it's a prime focus to be like more direct, I guess.
All right. Let's get to the next inquiry. Bwadwi, thank you for writing in.
Bwadwi.
Raisin wrote in, tasty little raisin.
Little raisin.
Little raisin. Greetings, brave porters of Sacred Symbols fame. We as a culture often cite specific songs as one-hit wonders. The Vapors, Turning Japanese, Aha's Take on Me, Meredith Brooks's Bitch. I'm a bitch, I'm a lover. Oh man, that song sucked. Afro Man's Because I Got High, to name a few. My question is, what are some one-hit wonder video games you enjoy? Also, is it so bad to be a one-hit wonder? My favorite one-hit wonder video games are LA Noire and Sleeping Dogs. I look forward to y'all's response. Until next time, Sacred Boys, we're here, we're queer, get used to it. Signed, the Ayatollah of Iran. Very schizophrenic write-in, if I do say so myself. Very schizophrenic write-in. One-hit wonder games. Dustin, does anything come to mind for you?
Yeah, well, it's tough because I can think of games that are one-off in their own IP, but they're from developers that have made other great games. One that comes to mind is Catherine, which is a one-off game, kind of not really a spin-off of Persona, but that team and very much in that art style that is awesome. LA Noire is a great pick that Raisin mentioned. The other one I thought of is hopefully not going to be a one-hit wonder forever, and that's a game I recently played, Stardew Valley, from Concerned Ape. That's his only game. He has announced the Haunted Chocolatier that will come out someday, but he's doing it himself, so it might be a bit. It's really the main ones I could think of. So
yeah, Stardew Valley is a great choice. I think Minecraft is a great choice, although that's not really a one-hit one. It kind of is a one-hit wonder. Actually, it's classic one-hit wonder in some way because they did release other games, but no one seems to really care about them.
Yeah, they had that card game.
Right. And they had dungeons and they had, and it doesn't seem like anyone, I mean, I'm sure there are many people playing them, but comparable to the original, that is classic one-hit wonder territory where you try to keep it going, but people just want the original thing. A recent example of a one-hit wonder that I feel like will probably truly stay a one-hit wonder, but that I think was extraordinarily good, and I would love a sequel, I just don't think it's going to happen, is Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess. That game was fucking sick. Easily one of the best games of last year, in my opinion. And I feel like that's not going to be coming back any other time. Pentiment is another great one-hit wonder, but it's like you're saying, Obsidian is not a one-hit wonder band. It's a brand. I think, because even with the games he's talking about, it's like LA Noire was made by that Australian team that never did anything else, right? And then Sleeping Dogs was made by United Front, and they made other games, but that was the only game that ever mattered that they made. They made Little Big Planet Karting and Mod Nation Racers, actually, which is interesting. So, and by the way, Mod Nation Racers was not in that IP listing, Dustin, that we did. There was like Mod Nation Racers had more games than a lot of that shit that we had on a list. It's weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like Kunitsugami is the most recent example. Pentiment would be a game, but it's not really in the same spirit. The game that I guess I'm thinking of that would fit the brand or this idea most is actually pretty perfect. Although it tried to capitalize on an existing IP, it really is its own game, which is a game we bring up often, which is Spec Ops: The Line. That Spec Ops: The Line was not really a Spec Ops branded game. They were just trying to associate it with a brand to make it sell. And it was made by the studio Jaeger that really never made another game of consequence. I mean, they made that game Dreadnought. They made one of the versions of Dead Island 2 that never came out, so that might be another good example of a true one-hit wonder. Chris, do you have any thoughts on this question from Little Raisin?
Little Raisin. What a bitch. No, I don't know. I think I it's hard to conceptualize this because like a one-hit wonder, I don't think it's exactly you could take this concept and like neatly fit it into game development really. But the ones that I can think of off the bat that I don't really know if they even qualify really is something like Bulletstorm. I really liked Bulletstorm, although like the controls are like really weird by today's standards. You could argue something like, technically mouthwashing. It's technically, because that's their only game of consequence, but it's also like they're a small team. It doesn't feel right calling video games one hit one. Like it doesn't feel congruent to me. Because a lot of the things I'm thinking of are not necessarily like I think of like Castle Crashers, because there's only one Castle Crashers, and it's easily like the biggest. Like I assume Castle Crashers is probably bigger than Battle Block Theater.
Definitely.
Maybe Alien Hominid was more niche, but those were both good games. You know what I mean? Like it's not like they only made Castle Crashers and everything else sucked, which is kind of what I imagine a one hit wonder is. So like I don't know if it's that neat. Even the same thing with Bulletstorm, really, because People Can Fly. I think that was People Can Fly, right?
Right.
And they did Outriders, which is not
Gears.
bad. So like, yeah, Gears. Like so, like those are the ones that come to mind, but I don't even think they're necessarily accurate. You know, Limbo, but they made Inside.
Mm-hmm.
So like, is it a one hit wonder because there's no Limbo 2?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. It is a little difficult. That's why I think Minecraft is maybe the most analogous example of a real, like you've released 3 or 4 records, but people just really love that first record, and you can ride on that first record forever. Very similar to Billy Joel, who like didn't release new music for like 30 years and just toured on a constant basis. No one wanted new music.
Right.
It's like, we don't want new Billy Joel music. Like when I saw Journey and then they were playing a bunch of their new stuff, I'm like, no one wants to hear this. Respectfully, I'm not here to hear this. Play separate ways or I'm going to fucking lose it. You understand?
Beat Saber?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Is Marvel Rivals technically like, you know what I don't know. It just kind of feels...
You're right though. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Shout out to the Turning Japanese though by the Vapors.
That's a great song.
That's a great song, and it's crazy that it's real.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome. The Vapors is a great name too. Sometimes you see these one hit wonder or like smaller band names, and you're like, damn, dude, that's a great name. It's too bad.
It is. Yeah, the Vapors is a great name.
And Take On Me, obviously top of mind because of I was just playing Last of Us Part 2 recently, and obviously in the show as well on HBO. Meredith Brooks' Bitch. I just remember that song being so big when I was like in middle school. People loved that song. And then Afro Man, because I Got High, I always thought that song was kind of lame, to be honest. But obviously people loved it. Those are good examples.
A joke song though, right? Like that's not really like, I mean, whatever.
Yeah. Aha. I feel like Aha is a somewhat legitimate band, but I don't really know very much about them, to be honest.
Yeah. They definitely had more than just Take On Me, I think.
Raisin, who's here, he's queer, he says, and he signs the Ayatollah of Iran. Thank you for writing in and sharing with us your schizophrenia today. John wrote in and said, hey gents, what studio has had the best 3-game run? I'm not talking about a trilogy of one IP, but any 3-game run. As an example, From Software released Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, and then Sekiro. Thanks. It's a very interesting question. Some obvious answers, some less obvious answers. Dustin, did you come up with anything for this question?
I did. I feel bad because I got to steal it from Chris. And it's Bungie with Halo 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Immaculate 3-game run with each game being distinct yet improved over the previous games. The story, the way it evolves, the online, the way it evolved with Halo 2, of course, going online with Xbox Live, and then Halo 3 Forge. Man, those 3 games back to back, insane. And then, of course, Reach after that, which is great. Yeah. But I think in some ways kind of a step down from 3.
Yeah. I mean, that was the first thing that came to mind because it's just it is uncharacteristically bizarre, and it's made all the more impressive knowing now what we know about Bungie and how like there was like basically no leadership that entire time. They basically like delivered like one of the craziest 3-game runs in the history of everything purely by accident with like no guidance and just people stepping up and somehow making it work. As far as like just. Yeah, I mean, that's the only obvious one that I can think of, although From is obviously... I feel like you could argue From the entire time is probably true. Although, like, there's not really... I know people don't like Dark Souls 2, I know that's the one, the black sheep, right? That like people can't stand. But I don't know, man. I think I would have to dig really deep to find like an interesting answer that isn't like just a trilogy. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this studio went and made this and then this and then this, and they're three completely separate IPs. I feel like that doesn't normally happen, or at least like definitely not anymore. But that's the one that does come to my mind immediately. I have to ruminate on it a little bit more.
The studio that I thought about, like when I saw this inquiry yesterday, the studio that came to mind for me first was actually Nintendo R&D 1, just because they were releasing so many games. So it's hard to say like what order they were even really coming out in, especially early on, but they must have had multiple trios of insane releases, in my opinion, so like I'm looking at some of the games that they were partially or fully responsible for. So it's like Metroid into Kid Icarus is a big one. You know, that's Mario Land into Dr. Mario into Metroid 2, Super Metroid, and you know, so there's I was just thinking, I'm like, is there some Nintendo stuff? But no, I don't think it would be them. I think the more obvious answer for me is Naughty Dog, The Last of Us, Uncharted 4, The Last of Us Part 2. I mean, that's fucking nutty. I mean, that's a crazy run. If you counted Ghost Story as counting as a rational, then BioShock and a BioShock Infinite into Judas potentially could be a pretty historic run. Although it's taken them a long time to get that going. And I don't know that you would really count that because it's not the same team. It's the same like singer in a different band. But yeah, go ahead.
Oh, well, I mean, Rockstar also.
Sure.
Probably is no slouch in that department either.
Especially like Rockstar North. Right, would be probably the major one, I would assume. Let me see.
Which one is North again? They do the
They did like the Grand Theft Auto games.
Well, yeah. But
so as Rockstar North, because they used to be DMA Design, which we knew them from, you know, the original Grand Theft Auto games, into Grand Theft Auto 3. That was the last game they did as DMA Design. And then as Rockstar North, it's like Vice City, Manhunt, San Andreas, Liberty City Stories, Vice City Stories, Manhunt 2, GTA 4, the GTA 4 DLC, Red Dead Redemption, LA Noire, which they didn't really make, Max Payne 3, which they kind of co-developed, then GTA 5, then Red Dead 2, which was really a San Diego studio. So you could just look at 3 Vice City, San Andreas, or if you wanted to be really cute, let me see here if this would actually work. Yeah, you could do... No, Manhunt would interrupt it. I mean, Vice City, Manhunt, San Andreas is pretty strong. Red Dead doesn't really count because those are San Diego games that they kind of supported on. So yeah, that's a good choice as well. I'm going to stick with Naughty Dog though, doing The Last of Us, Uncharted 4, The Last of Us Part 2. That's incredibly strong. Kojima, Metal Gear Solid 5, Death Stranding 2 is seemingly pretty strong. Even MGS 1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Although that's not really the linear order that they were made in either. You have to kind of look, because it's like Zone of the Enders would be in there and a few other things would interrupt it. But which is also cool. I mean, Zone of the Enders is cool. It's not as good as Metal Gear. In fact, I bought the original Zone of the Enders specifically because it had I think it came with the Metal Gear Solid 2 demo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It ended up being a really great game in its own right, but definitely. And so I don't know how sequential that would be either. And you can even make the argument with Naughty Dog that you could count The Lost Legacy as a game. It is a kind of a full product in its own way.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a good question, but I really don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like really, really deep dive answers where like there's obvious stuff that if we heard it, you know, it would be like, oh, that's obviously like something that would be considered. But like there's so many interstitials and so many things that just interrupt the flow of things that you even would assume off the rip, like Grand Theft Auto 3, 4, and 5, which is just like not exactly the order in which it's not exactly the run that you're talking about.
Yeah, because they would have done the Liberty City Stories in between there and all that other shit.
And then Red Dead, yeah. So, which is great, but
yeah, interesting question. I mean, a nerdier answer from me would be Mega Man 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, those were all done in sequence by the same team, and they're amazing games. Too good.
You could also
Naughty Dog with also the first 3 the 3 Crash games and the 3 Spyro games on PS1. Pretty great.
could count Capcom starting at Resident Evil 7.
Yeah, 7, 8, 9.
The return of 7, 8, 9 plus the remakes.
Yes, yeah, it would be 7, 2, 3, 8.
Yeah, I guess 3 is kind of
3 kind of fucks it up.
Yeah.
Or was it 7, 2, 8, 3? I don't know. I don't remember.
I feel like it was 7, 2, 3, 8 for some reason.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think those came out like a year apart or something crazy because it was a they outsourced 3.
Yeah, 3 definitely came out before 8. Like that's really vivid in my mind. But
Jared Brown wrote in, said, "Hey, Sacred Symbols crew, greetings from Tasmania. I wanted to get your thoughts on something I experienced while playing Death Stranding 2. With games like this that are heavy on story and atmosphere, I tend to rush through the main story first just to avoid spoilers, then circle back later for side quests and exploration. The problem is I don't actually like playing this way. Feels like I'm not experiencing the game the way it was meant to be played, especially with something as deliberately paced and immersive as Death Stranding 2. Have you ever played a game this way and felt like you kind of ruined the rhythm and tone for yourself? Any advice on breaking out of that habit? Thanks for all the great content." I definitely have, and this is what I was saying earlier about why I think taking your time and playing to your heart's content is the right move. Are you that exposed to spoilers that you would be nervous about it, especially with a game like Death Stranding 2? I kind of understand. Death Stranding requires so much of you that it's going to be really hard to avoid spoilers if you're playing for so long and then you're also poking around. Can you not just control yourself for a little while, as it were? Don't read the places where no one's going to walk up to you in a supermarket and spoil Death Stranding 2 for you. And then you can play. Yeah, Chris might. And then you can play it more naturally, because I do. Everyone should play the games how they want. And I think trophies and achievement numbers play out that people do like the mainline games if they beat them at all. And that the people that play them more completely are the rarities. So it's not that you're doing anything wrong or even that untoward or unusual. It's just, I don't really understand why you would do that to yourself. In games that have lots of side quests, it's like, I want to do everything possible before I move on with the next quest. So if there's like, you're playing a game like Witcher 3 or something, and there's like one main quest and then like 8 side quests, I'm going to do all the side quests available. And then I'll do the next main quest and then see what pops up after that. And that's the way I like playing the game, so that by the time you're at the end, it really is the end. It's not like the ending and then you go clean it up. Sometimes you have to clean games up when they're done. Sometimes you have to get through the ending in order to get to the post-game content. I mean, there's all those kinds of things. And that's especially true in role-playing games. But I find the most satisfaction in like culminating in the end. And like that if you can do it all before you go past the point of no return, you should. And doing that to avoid spoilers, I guess I kind of get it. But I'm just wondering like where you're interacting, where this is a real risk for you. Even in a really mean-spirited, shitty environment that we exist in, I very rarely have people go out of their way to ruin things for me. So I imagine like if you're just a random person, is this something you're really encountering? Or are you like Dagan, where you like try to go on Reddit and find like movie scripts for movies that aren't out yet and read them and spoil it for yourself? Because he loves doing that shit. So do what you want, but you're going to get more out of the games if you play them more holistically. And I don't understand people that rush through their games. The only time in my life where I really had to do that one was when I was a critic and I had to move on to the next game, and I hated it. So my breaking out of the habit, just don't do it. It's that simple. Any thoughts?
I mean, I don't. The thing for me is like I only felt that push of like needing to be done with something with Red Dead when we got it early. And even then, it was a pretty generous window, if I recall correctly. It was like, when did we get it? We got it like 2 weeks or something?
Yeah, we had like 2 weeks or so.
Which I think is like more than enough time for sure. But like even just knowing that there was a limit on like okay, this is how much time.
Not for that game, it wasn't, dude. I don't think 2 weeks was enough for that game at all.
Well,
2 weeks for most games, I think, would be fine.
That game was a lot more like it was getting crazy. And so like that's really the only time I've ever felt like the need to like I got to get done with this. But I just kind of feel like you play what you want to play, and like I don't think I'm going to do every single thing in Death Stranding. But I'm going to do as much as I want until I get bored of whatever it is I'm doing, and then I'll move on, and then that's totally fine. you kind of control the pace of your own experience. And I think sacrificing your initial experience of a game that you can only play for the first time once with the kind of air or the vibe of like, I got to get through this so it's not ruined for me by some outside force. I feel like that's kind of inherently ruining the game for you anyway, in some way. You know, you're kind of painting the game with this kind of like stress that doesn't need to be associated with it. And so you might actually just be, you kind of are doing the thing that you're trying to prevent by playing it this way, I think, in some way.
Thoughts, Dustin?
Yeah, I think I'm more in line with Chris, where like specifically with Death Stranding 2, I'm being pretty thorough, but not 100% thorough, partially because in this game, you unlock more things as you play and progress the story. So there's a efficiency where I think, well, later on, I'm going to have access to more tools that I'll be able to be really efficient doing this. I totally understand the worry about spoilers if you live online, like many of us do. But you can set up safeguards to avoid that, whether it's muted words on Twitter or avoiding certain spaces or whatever. It is, possible. My main thing that I know what will happen with me in Death Stranding is that I'm being pretty thorough now. And I already am currently constantly thinking like, man, I want to know what happens next in the story. At some point, I will want to know what happens so bad that I will start mainlining it because I just personally want to know what happens. It's like if you're watching an excellent movie and then you hit pause before the third act begins. It's like to go mow the lawn or something. It's like, no, I need to know what happens. So, and that's just personally like how I enjoy it, where at some point I can't be delivering someone's medicine anymore because I need to know. So, but yeah, I think Chris put it well when he said that you can kind of curate your own experience with it. So if your main thing is being worried about spoilers and that's the reason you're rushing, then fix the issue of where you're seeing potential spoilers in order to enjoy it the way you want to.
It's this is kind of an aside,
yeah, go ahead.
Kind of not. I saw this meme on Twitter of like some dude getting lit the fuck up in The Sopranos or whatever. He just gets shot in a lake. I thought it was really funny, so I looked it up. I looked up the scene, and then I saw like another video unrelated, like in the recommended or whatever, of just like every single death in The Sopranos. And I was like, yeah, all right. I have not seen The Sopranos at all. I have no idea. But the thing is, like, I watched that entire video and I was like, oh, that's hilarious and wild. As of today, I do not remember who the fuck those people are. I do not remember which character was who or like who the fuck. Like, I don't even think I could point them out again if I saw them again. So I kind of spoiled myself without doing it in some way. I guess when the scene starts, I'll be like, oh, I know that lake. But like, I don't know.
I speaking of forgetting or not remembering a spoiler, when I was replaying Death Stranding 1, I was trying to piece together a part of the story. So I started reading someone's thorough explanation on Reddit, and then I just kept reading it, and I spoiled part of the game that I played before because I didn't remember what happened.
Oh, I see.
I was like, oh, dang it. That kind of would have been a fun reveal again, but I just forgot. And now I spoiled it for myself somehow.
That's funny.
Weird situation.
Yeah.
That is funny.
Third Shift Weirdo wrote in, said, hello, gents. US dates have been announced for PlayStation, the concert. Did you three have any intentions on attending? My other half has graciously agreed to go with me so I can pretend I'm attending the Met Opera like I'm in an episode of The Gilded Age. Be well, everyone, and may any of the lonely hearts out there find someone who looks at them the way Colin admires shrubbery in his driveway. Thank you. I was worried about that. I was having problems with that skip laurel. What do you want from me? But I got it all sorted out. Got it all trimmed up and sorted out. I haven't heard good things about this PlayStation the concert thing from some outlets. These shows, I think, already happened in Europe, and I think some of them were even canceled out of a lack of interest. Did you guys see any of the stuff from this, like the videos or screenshots of it? It seems like a lot of it is not live. Like a lot of it is like dubbed over the soundboard. And I don't know if they're going to clean it up as we go and stuff, but I was expecting I don't want to do this shit anyway, but I was expecting something like that meets up with PlayStation's place in the industry, something very finely done, something very sophisticated, something very memorable. And I feel like some people liked it, but I don't think it's like blowing anyone away from what I've seen. And I wonder if they've made any adjustments, because I have watched videos and screenshots of it, and I'm like, this is a little underwhelming actually for the PlayStation brand, especially in the venues that they were playing in. So I have no interest in doing it. I didn't even see the American dates come through. Are you guys interested in seeing this, either of you? Dustin, you go to this kind of shit.
Yeah, I do. And here's the thing. So the games featured, at least in this thumbnail, are Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, Last of Us, Horizon. All these games have great music when you're playing. It's not the kind of music that I feel like I want to go see live. It's not like Nier Automata, which has, in my opinion, one of the greatest soundtracks in games of all time, that I own them on vinyl and listen to them because they're that great. It's no disrespect to the music in these games. Like I said, it's great, but it's just not something I'm all that interested in seeing live. And also, there's no dates near me. If there was a Pittsburgh date and it was affordable, why not? But I'm not driving 4 hours to go to PlayStation a concert.
Yeah, I'm looking. They're actually playing in Richmond, which is strange.
Yeah.
They're playing at the Altria, which is a really nice theater. It's actually where my nephew just graduated from high school. It's a really nice place. But I'm even looking, like, it doesn't seem like it's selling very well. And it's early, but they're playing like weird venues and weird places too, like smaller places: Hartford, Connecticut; Williamsport, Pennsylvania; Huntsville, Alabama; Des Moines, Iowa. There's some bigger ones too. They're playing in New York City, playing in Baltimore, Washington.
Yeah, Madison Square Garden in New York City.
But it's the Madison Square Garden. It's the theater at Madison Square Garden. So it's not, there was no way they'd be able to play Madison Square Garden. And even that doesn't seem like it's selling very well. So I don't know. I don't know what the interest is in this sort of thing, but we'll see. They're even doing 2 dates in Washington, DC. I don't mean to demean it, because I don't know what the full nature of it is. I just know that I've read quite a bit of it and seen videos and images of people being underwhelmed by it. And I don't think it's got a great reputation for that, but I appreciate that they're trying to do it. Because obviously you don't want to check this out.
No, I think it really harkens about what Dustin was saying. Like the music that they're focusing on is very complementary to a gameplay experience. It's not really meant to, and I guess all music in games is meant to be complementary, but like it in particular, the IP that they're choosing, like I with the exception of God of War, with the like with the exception of that, I genuinely don't think I don't think I can recall a single distinct melody,
right?
From any of these. It's not like Mega Man 2 or something, or like the Halo trilogy, or like Claire Obscure even. I would see a Claire Obscure concert like in seconds. But I just think a lot of this music is just meant to be kind of complementing the vibe of what the game is kind of presenting to you in the moment. And I don't know if that necessarily makes for a fantastic concert experience. Like you gotta have melody, really, and like songs that people want to like hum along to, or like or that they actively remember what comes next, instead of being like, oh, and this is the part that makes me feel like this. Like I don't know. And also, it doesn't help that a lot of the music in those games is dynamic, so it shifts and changes, so you can't even really get a feel for. You can't really get a feel for like any given track. Like Ghost of Tsushima, all due respect, the game's great. I was actually really high on that game when it came out, and I really loved it. I have no idea what the fucking theme for Ghost of Tsushima is.
Yeah, me neither.
If you had a gun to my head and said hum the Ghost of Tsushima theme right now and I'll let you live, I wouldn't show up to the next recording. I'd be gone, because there's no amount of willpower or like. There's nothing that I could summon in my heart to make me remember that. So yeah, I don't know. It's not really a priority show for me.
Barry McCockner has the final inquiry.
Stupid.
It's not very nice, Barry. It says, hey, Sacred Studs. I find myself at a turning point in my life. I've been collecting physical video games since the Genesis and SNES era, and have always bought physical copies rather than digital once that was a thing. But last year, I bought myself a nice PC and found myself only buying games on Steam and the like. Even with retro games, I can just emulate them and not need to hook up old consoles and whatnot. So I'm writing in because I've been slowly selling off my physical games on eBay. Am I a piece of shit for doing this? Something about it feels wrong, but right at the same time. What do you guys think? I'll go fuck myself and listen. Thanks, boys. I mean, this is a multifaceted question in the sense that, like, why do you feel like you're doing anything wrong? Unless what you're saying is that you're selling the games in order to emulate them later. But even then, you can make the argument, like, I really am selective with emulation, where I just think there's a point where it doesn't really matter anymore. And then there's a point where it deeply matters. Like, it's weird how deeply proud people are of emulating Switch games. It's like, it's pretty pathetic, in my opinion. It's a handheld that's still relevant, still getting games on it. I'm glad Nintendo's going after people that are doing it. I think it's funny that they're going after people that are doing it. I think you're wrong for doing it. I've been pretty on the record about that. But emulating a Genesis, it's like, who gives a shit? Or taking your Genesis Mini and modding it and putting every Genesis game that's ever existed on it, like people did with the NES and SNES emulators. I'm just less worried about that because I feel like the money-making opportunities and the commercial realities of these games are largely long over, and you're not hurting anyone. And I think that kind of stuff does matter. Here's the thing about your situation, so-called Barry, is you bought these games already, so you kind of paid the price for them. And if you wanted to have a karmic out, you paid for them already. And so if you're emulating these games, yeah, you're selling them and you're getting your money back. I guess you actually could probably make more money on selling a lot of these games. So I think it's up to you what you want to do. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Digital is inevitable, and it's the way it's going to be moving forward. But you can have it both ways, where you can keep your old physical games and then buy digital to new games and do, like, why do you need to do one or the other? Also, I don't think you're stupid for selling your games, and I don't want to give anyone incomplete advice or wrong advice, but my feeling is that the longer you hold those things, the more valuable they're going to be. So why would you sell them? Can you imagine like what an NES game is going to cost in 100 years or something like that? Like,
yeah,
Nintendo is still going to be a widely relevant, highly relevant brand probably in 50 or 100 years, you would imagine. And I'm not saying you're going to be around in 50 or 100 years. I don't know how old you are. You're not, obviously not going to be around in 100 years probably. None of us are, but that's my bigger thing when I'm reading you is like, yeah, you're selling your stuff off, but I would just have it both ways and just put that shit away. Unless you really need the money, what are you doing? Yeah. I wish I had the foresight. I've said many times that I sold most of my SNES games when I bought my PS1, and then I went and bought a lot of those games back on eBay 25 years ago. I was so glad I had the foresight to do that because I paid probably twice as much as I sold them for, but now it would be like 10 times as much as and so I just, am I wrong on this, Dustin? Is anything getting cheaper? The only things that I know are really cheap are like Atari games, and that's it. I mean, and the more obscure, the better. I mean, I know Master System games are worth a fucking fortune. Neo Geo games, TurboGrafx games, 3DO games. It's like the more obscure, the better. And then even with mass-produced consoles like NES, SNES, Genesis, PS1, I don't know. So that's where I'm at. I'm like, unless you're like, that's a nest egg, dude. I have so many games, like so many, again, they're at Dagan's. I'm not controlling any of them, but I have so many, like easily tens of thousands of dollars worth of games just sitting around, and they're only going to get more valuable. And you've said you've learned this in your own life, right, Dustin? You sold something and then you could have sold it for probably twice as much at this point. It was maybe Mega Man Legends or something. Tronbon, yeah.
Yeah, I had to rebuy it for a significantly higher price. But yeah, the game prices are never, in my opinion, going back down, both between inflation, the pandemic boom, and also, I mean, there is a big element that there is now just a community and content around retro gaming that also made it explode, that it's a big thing now. So you can see on price charting what the average price of the games per console. So like I'm looking at PlayStation right now, and they definitely in March 2020, that's when they really started to balloon, and it will vary somewhat up and down, but we're never going back to what it was before. So they will just continue to go up. And I agree with you about the emulation part, that it just doesn't matter for old consoles. So do what feels good, in my opinion.
I'm not endorsing it. And I will be honest and say that I don't emulate anything. But if I were really in need of like access to NES games and such, I highly doubt I would go and get my Nintendo and my games from Dagon. I'd probably just download an NES emulator and do it. I do think that there's a major differentiation between market access and time. And I just don't give a shit if you're emulating things from the 90s or even from the early 2000s. But I do care that you're emulating PS4 games or Vita games or Switch games. I think it's not only that I care, I think it's corny how much people brag about it. Like, it's really corny. No offense, major broke energy when people flaunt that kind of shit. It reminds me of when I was in high school and I was downloading things off of Napster. I was broke, but at least I knew that. And I wasn't like proud of it. And I wasn't proud of like circumventing the system as an adult. Which is kind of strange. Chris, do you have anything you want to say about this?
I mean, I don't think you should feel bad about wanting to sell your games, but also I can only speak from personal experience where like I literally only regret selling the games that I own or like the hardware that I like. I've never come out the other side being like, I'm glad I sold that. And if I do, it's usually like a very short-lived kind of like, because it's almost like a dopamine thing where it's like, oh, I got something done in some way. And then that goes away and you're like, fuck, I don't have my PSP anymore. What the fuck? That sucks. Even if I didn't use my PSP at all, like just knowing that I could was nice. And there's God knows how many games I traded in over the years. So like I as a general rule, if I get like a physical copy of a video game, that's with me probably forever, from here on out. Well, from here on out, from many years ago on out. But yeah, I mean, but if that doesn't matter to you, then like, yeah, fuck it, do whatever you want, man. Like it's your stock, it's your money. I don't see any moral issue with it, really.
Yeah, no, I don't do what you want to do. My only thing is that I would just be, again, I could be totally off base and wrong, but I just feel like you'll be happy if you held on to these things for a few more years. If you really want to make money off of them, it's only going to get better from here. So
yeah. That's true. Also,
just think about all the like. There are fewer and fewer of these games every day. Someone's house gets, not to be morbid or whatever. Someone's house gets robbed. Someone's shit gets burned down in a fucking storage facility. Someone accidentally ruins something on a move. Something just gets lost, and these things whittle more and more. The people that have these like high quality versions of a lot of these games are going to be huge winners. And there's going to be people. There already are people that want to have complete collections of these platform libraries. So that's my only thing. Otherwise, embrace the digital life. That's normal. It's obviously easier.
Yeah. And
you can have the best of both worlds. Enjoy your PC gaming, enjoy Steam, and enjoy your physical collection as well. Barry McCockner. I love when I see those videos of like town councils or whatever, and they're saying the people's names from online, and they're trying to ask questions, and it's names like that, like Barry McCockner, and they'll earnestly say it over and over and over again.
So unserious.
All right. Shall we go? It's a short episode, but there's really not much to talk about today.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, the things that we would want to talk about, namely the things that we're playing, would be just too egregious to get into on a main episode when nobody has had the chance. Because I think as of the game actually officially, like Death Stranding 2, obviously is what I'm referring to, but that comes out for everybody tonight, right? Or is it out already for
right now?
Or?
It's out today. Out. Yeah, today.
Yeah. So they got me. They got me with the early access, by the way.
Yeah, you got. I mean, that's okay. I would, if I was ready to go, I would have gotten got. But this is why I pre-order like a day or two before the game comes out to get the perks. But I would have dedicated that extra $10 or $20 and I wouldn't have even been able to use it. So
I think it was just 10.
10. That's like, very reasonable. Very reasonable, in my opinion.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah. I do appreciate that some companies are just not doing it. Like I was surprised that Take-Two didn't have it with Borderlands, but they don't. There's no option to play it early. And I saw that Gearbox was kind of touting that's like a positive thing. And it is a positive thing if that's what you want to do. But it seems like such an easy way to get millions of dollars more gross than otherwise, especially some of these crazy editions that are really charging an arm and a leg for some of these higher end. Even the $20 upsell on Hellblade for the original Hellblade that's free money. And now how many are they going to sell? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, Starfield was $100, I think, to play it early.
Yeah, right. And I'm still waiting to see if that's going to come to PlayStation. I mean, it is coming to PlayStation. Like, when is it going to come to PlayStation? Will I play it? The answer is, if it will come to PlayStation, will I play it? Probably not. Ultimately, I just don't think it's going to happen. All right, guys, let's go. Let's go around the horn and say goodbye to everyone and hear what your plans are for the rest of the week and your weekend and what's happening with you. Chris, any plans for the rest of the day? What do you have to tell the audience?
Today's a Death Stranding day. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm totally like hooked into it, and I'm thinking about it all the time. I had a dream last night. I had a dream that I was playing it, and there was some like story shit happening that I was like, that's stupid. And then I woke up and I was like, oh, that was me. That was my stupid idea that I insulted in my own dream. Lame.
It's funny, man. Like, again, not to talk about the original one again, but I am having a similar feeling where I'm always thinking about Death Stranding, the first one. Just really enjoying it. There's something if you open yourself up to it, very strange game, but very, very good. Very, very good. Okay, cool. Dustin, goodbye to you. Be well. Any plans for you for the rest of the day?
For today, I got to get everything ready for content for this weekend, because tomorrow at 8 a.m., the boys are hitting the road to Philadelphia for Too Many Games. So looking forward to seeing Dagan, seeing some of you guys there. So please look forward to it. I guess by the time you're listening to this, it most likely already happened, so you missed out. But excited for that. Now, I love going to conventions too, going and looking at all the games, of course, seeing what kind of weird shit. Usually when I'm at one of these things, I'll find some obscure Mega Man thing that I'll take a picture and send to Colin, just because that's my favorite part, is when you see like, here's a standee of Donkey Kong Country 2 that was in some blockbuster or something.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
I love seeing. I can't afford it. I mean, I guess I could afford it, but I don't.
It's a waste of money. Yeah.
These things are very expensive, but it's cool to see in person. So excited for that, and excited to just hang out with my friends for the weekend, because it's going to be Ben and Brandon and our friend Matt on the road trip out. We're going to stop at, I think it's called, it's Maple Smorgasbord, which is the dumbest name ever, but it's supposed to be the biggest buffet in the US. It's in like Amish country, like world famous.
Nice.
So we're going to stop at that place on the way and just be gluttons, quite frankly. So it's going to be a good time to hang out. So
that's cool. I gotta get to one of those at some point,
dude.
It's it's not that far from where, like, it's very drivable from where my parents are.
I would love to get more of the crew out for the Pittsburgh convention.
Yeah.
It's much smaller scale compared to Too Many Games, but still pretty big. And we could all hang out, chill, but maybe at some point. I think Brad, maybe. I'm trying to convince Brad, at least. So if you want to hang out in Butler, Colin.
He's got to, I haven't been in since 21, I guess. 2021.
We could have the crew out.
Well, ask me again later.
Okay.
It's too hot for me to think clearly right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm gonna wait a little while longer, because this episode went faster than I thought. I got to mow the lawn, and maybe I'll power wash a little bit, and then I'll get in the steaming hot pool. That'll be fun, and burn to death, boil to death. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys. I hope you're well, and it was good to be with you today. I hope everyone out there is well too. Well, if you want. Patreon.com/LastDayMedia for early ad-free access to our show and all other things we do on Last Day Media's network of podcasts, and LastDayMedia.store for merch. We'll see you next time. Until then, goodbye.
See ya.
Take care, guys.
Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Colin's Last Stand LLC, and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show is conceived by, is written by, and is directed by me, Colin Moriarty. My co-hosts are Chris Raygun Maldonado and Dustin Furman. The show is produced by executive producer Dustin Furman. All of Last Stand's theme music is by my best friend, Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand shows, including Sacred Symbols, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest tier, and we're grateful for your thoughtful and kind contributions to our independent endeavor. Thank you.